Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Yeah. All right, welcome everybody to the ultimate Cleveland sports show, a Christmas Eve edition, along with G. Bush, Dustin Fox, and Jason Lloyd. That is the worst Santa hat of all time, Jason.
What?
I don't know what is happening.
Dustin called
there.
it a condom on my head.
It's so tight. I've never seen a Santa hat that tight.
You look like one of the elves.
I'm not going to be bullied into taking it off.
I mean, don't take it off.
I like that's good right there.
I don't know. It was in my drawer.
You got like the off-brand Santa hat. Dustin's got like the real one there. And you've got
Discount Drug Mart, $4.
The off-brand.
I didn't know that there was such a thing.
Speaking of which, there's a video of the owner of the Bears. What's his name? McCaskey, I think. Is that it?
The McCaskey family, correct.
Right. So the owner, whoever the head of the family is, I don't know the guy's name, he's at a Blackhawks game, and it made me think of this because you were in the Blackhawks jersey, and you could tell, I couldn't tell, but whoever did this video could tell, that he had bought like a off-brand Blackhawks jersey. Like, you're the owner of a football team. Even if you're the poorest owner in the NFL.
This is an off-brand.
Okay, fine.
This is a Griswold.
You're not a billionaire.
Yeah. But
if you were a billionaire, would you ever buy anything off-brand?
see, I got the red one of these, it's still stitched.
Still stitched,
Anything stitched on there is
get rid of it.
This one had like a patch with like it was like something you'd get for free at the game.
No, you mean it's one of them joints from Gabe's. Remember Gabriel Brothers?
Yeah.
And they used to have them jerseys in there, and they used to have the odd jerseys that got messed up. Some of them will have a logo, no name on the back. Some of them will have an NBA logo, but the name of the player on the back.
Oh, yeah.
Or they had the straight iron-on boys. If it looks like a decal, that does not count.
Yeah.
That is not it. Don't
Man,
come in
you're
with
lucky. You might find like a Tulane national championship shirt from like 2002.
Right.
And that is key.
Some random stuff.
Random T-shirts and random hats are definitely top notch.
Well, don't they do that every year with the champ? Like, don't the
They're supposed to ship it
loser
all like
of the
third world
Series
countries and
go to
stuff.
Africa supposedly?
Supposedly, but some of them, sometimes those boxes get through.
You know, in 2002, when you guys beat Miami,
Yeah.
I went back to the media hotel, and it was Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, and there was boxes and boxes, probably hundreds of bags of Miami national champion.
For sure.
I was like, man, I should have taken. You know how much money you could get for eBay on those? Is like, never happened type thing.
I'm sorry. I'm surprised with your scheming mind that you
I didn't think of
to
it.
take it.
I didn't think of it. Yeah, let them go.
Interesting. All right, we got Mike and Steve behind the glass. Earl up in the perch today. No Anthony. I mean, I don't know where Anthony's missing half the month. I don't know what's going on.
He had PTO to use. It's the holidays. He's down in Columbus.
He should use it.
so
I'm just
Merry
like I say to
Christmas
Tyvis all the time. You got to use your time off.
I got to tell you real quick.
Don't use it, you lose it.
That's right.
I got to tell you my Mona Lisa of ADD moments.
Oh, good.
Because I say all the time, I 100% have ADD. I forget crap all the time. So we're going on this trip this week, right? We leave, what's today, Tuesday? We leave Thursday. We're going to the Caribbean for 10 days. And so I was in charge. I booked all the flights. And then we're going to Europe in March. So I had to book the flights for that.
I want your job.
And then, so we got like hotels. So I'm handling all of the travel. So last night I'm going through and just finalizing everything, make sure everything's good. I can't find the confirmation for our flight home from Miami on the. We're going to stay over one extra day. We're going to come home on the 6th. I'm looking and looking, searching. I can't find it anywhere. And I'm looking through the emails, looking through my wife's. Nothing. I'm like, all right, well, let me see which card I booked it on. I went back through all the credit card statements. I never booked a flight home from Miami. And now we're like 2 weeks out.
Bro, these flights are like $1,000.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wait,
five of us.
You booked the flight there but not back?
Yes.
Why?
Because on the way, I used miles to get there on American.
Yeah.
And then coming home, so it was separate transactions.
So. And you totally forgot to buy the return.
I had it on the screen. I remember I was watching. I had
and then
it.
you got distracted by something.
I never booked it.
Oh my!
So
was your wife pissed?
Well, so she's just finding this out.
Oh God!
Oh boy!
So I'm like, all right, well, this is going to be like probably $3,000, $4,000 to get us all home now.
Big mistake.
Big mistake. And so, and I actually found a flight. I'm like, okay, this isn't too bad because we were going to stay an extra day because flights were so outrageous coming home that Sunday.
Yeah.
We were going to stay an extra day. And so yesterday as I'm hunting around and finding around, I actually found a Frontier flight, which, I mean, it's Frontier. It's like putting a plane in a slingshot.
Oh, my
pulling it
God.
back and
I thought they went out of business, Frontier.
Suck it up for like
Or was that
2
the
hours,
other cheap
man.
one?
It's, well, I mean, it's for...
Spirit went out of business.
Oh, Spirit, right, yeah.
I found
think.
a flight from Palm Beach to Cleveland direct, all 5 of us for like
Yeah.
$1,400
Yeah,
all
but-
in.
That's a win.
That's
But that's not all in. They charge. There's a million extras, on Frontier.
That's with all those extras. That's with the luggage and everything.
All right.
The base fare was like $850 for all of us. So that we get back
Do
on
they
the
actually
boat.
have a pilot on this plane?
It might be me.
Yeah.
But so the boat gets back at 7:30 and the flight is at 12:30, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
We just have to take an hour Uber ride. So it all, and I told my wife this morning, I'm like, how amazing am I that I got us home now on the right day.
Yeah.
Look, you see that journalism
I
stand?
left out the part about I forgot to book the flight.
You forgot the part that was your fault. And you spun it. Hey, listen, look how great I am thinking and multitasking. You know, I saved us a couple $100 and, you know, it's all courtesy of me.
The fear, the
Oh my
anxiety,
God.
and the blood that rushed out of my head last night as I figured out I don't have a flight home.
You probably
from
thought-
Miami.
How many
season.
hours did you
crazy.
spend searching for it before you realized?
Over an hour.
Wow.
Over an hour. And like AJ's trying to go to bed and he keeps coming downstairs. I'm like, I'm coming.
Yeah.
Because I always tuck him in. And even still, I'd say goodnight to him.
Yeah.
I'm like, buddy, you got to give me I got to figure this out. And there was no flight.
That's some nice stuff, man. Y'all y'all got kids. They like y'all's friends, man. Like that's nice, man. Y'all got friends and stuff. Y'all be hanging out.
All the kids are here. I would have brought AJ if I'd have known.
We got
Boys are in the house.
Baby Bull and Baby Fox together.
I
Yeah.
ain't
They're going to start a podcast.
Can we show them, Steve, or no?
Oh, yeah.
If you're okay with us showing them, we could show
Are
them.
you okay with it?
Tatum wanted to be on TV.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Hey, listen, I think they're old enough to defend themselves.
You got to move
behind the
Aaron.
camera.
There you go.
There's Tatum. There's Aaron.
They've been back there quiet, sitting, chilling. I bring my cousins.
they're quiet.
I bring my people in here. They're gonna be all on the set, hanging
I
out
think
right
they
in
have the
front.
exact same sneakers, except Tatum's are high tops. Or
Yeah, I like them.
similar. I don't know.
Yeah, I like them. They got the straps on.
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Them is fire. Them is
There you
fire.
go. So it's a family
We're not
time.
very
It's a family
proficient in
time
tying
here.
shoes yet in the
Yeah,
Fox house.
that's a struggle.
We're still
There
still
could
on
be
the
a
struggle
struggle.
bus.
Mike's got his ugly sweater today. His ugly Christmas sweater.
It's Christmas Eve. No show tomorrow, but we do have 4 spin-off shows. We have an Ultimate Cavaliers show, which Jason and I taped this morning. We have an Ultimate 216 show, which Earl taped with Cecil this morning. We got a Behind the Glass, and we have an Ultimate Buckeyes show that Dustin and Tyvis taped on Monday. So we got 4 shows, 2 hours of content, brand new
Great.
content for you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Even though we don't have a full regular UCSS show. We're back on Thursday. We're back on Friday. Normal schedule. But tomorrow, no 11 to 1 p.m. show, but we have 4 different half-hour shows spread out throughout the day.
We
The first
work-
one's
we
at
worked-
9,
we worked
11,
Thursday?
1 and 3.
Yeah,
we're
you
back
didn't know
on
that?
Thursday, G.
We work Thursday and Friday.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm coming Friday this week.
You're here Friday?
I'm here Friday.
All right, I'm not.
Am I here?
I think so. I mean, I don't know your schedule. but-
Is he like keep a spreadsheet of your work days?
Listen, I figure.
I don't keep-
But Bull
I'm on
is
top of a lot.
Bull does he does 5 days too. So I looked at him and like,
Yeah.
well,
I'm taking off.
Yeah.
I'm going. We're going to New York.
G,
New
you are
Jersey.
here both Thursday and Friday according to the schedule for the record.
Yeah.
So please
yeah.
show
oh
up.
yeah, all
You're
right.
hosting Friday, by the way.
Yeah. So please
thank-
show
I'm glad
up.
I asked this
Please
question.
show up.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to it.
Jeez,
Mike.
and let's dive in.
Yeah.
We got Cavs, we got Guardians, we got Ohio State, and we got some Browns on the agenda today. We're going to start with the Cavs after a quick word from FanDuel. You can tackle all of the NFL action this year with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5, get $250 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Let's start with the Cavs, guys. Cleveland improved to 26-4 on the season after beating the Utah Jazz last night. We'll dive into some of the X's and O's from the game in a sec, but I want to start with this as a broad question. There were people on Twitter yesterday complaining that the Cavs were only up by 4 at half and only won the game by 11 points. Are the Cavs so good they've spoiled people from just enjoying the night in, night out of the regular season right now? Have they been that good to start the year?
Yes, they have. And by the way, is this a lunatic fringe we're talking about here? that
we are going to get to that later.
That are upset about the Cavaliers not winning, not covering the 14.5 last night. I mean, come on.
It's funny you said that because I was thinking this is Ohio State syndrome here.
Yeah, we are so spoiled now with this team. Guys, we haven't won a title. We haven't won jack squat. It's
one playoff series.
26-4 is amazing. The one playoff series is not good enough. This team is great. They're so much fun to watch, but can we just pump the brakes? We're not good enough to play on Christmas Day. So relax.
Well, we should have been. Yeah,
I know.
I'm just. No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Maybe I wasn't checking Twitter. I didn't checked out of here since the Browns is trash. But I didn't see it.
Just bitter Cavs fans on FanDuel, man. Didn't cover the 14.
Hey, now listen, those people are always going to be bitter. That's costing them money. Them folks is obsessed with that.
Yeah.
People's parlays be out of the window. I can understand that. But, no, man, if you're a regular basketball fan and you saw and you talk about
this doesn't happen in the NBA. This does not happen.
It's not a thing, bro. That's definitely not a thing. Count them W's. That's it.
I actually thought, I know Utah doesn't have a good record. They seem like they're a better team. I know they have some
They're feisty.
What's that?
They're feisty.
They're a feisty team. Obviously, Colin Sexton's a good player, nice player. Markkanen's a really good player. Clarkson's a really good player, and this center Walker Kessler,
which we're talking about the rebounding issue in a sec. Walker Kessler was incredible last night.
But how about that play that Darius Garland made him fly through the air at
he
the
had
end
a
of the
few
game?
plays on Walker Kessler where he put him in a torture chamber.
Did you guys see that play in the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
What I don't understand is if you're Walker Kessler defending Darius Garland, which he was doing a lot in the fourth quarter.
Utah was switching screens and Cleveland was attacking.
Why would he jump at all? He's got a foot on Garland. He wouldn't even need to jump to block a shot.
Sometimes it happens like that on the court.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
It's called involuntary spasms.
Yeah, he faked him so bad that he got him to jump when he doesn't even need to jump. But so they got they should be a little better than their record. I know Clarkson and Sexton are kind of one-dimensional chuckers.
Yeah, I don't think they're that.
But they're not terrible They shouldn't be they should be normal.
They're not the Washington Bullets.
Right, they're not like that.
They're also in the West, so they're playing the West.
That's
pretty
true.
Good.
But again, here's an amazing stat that I think is correct. I didn't actually look this up or see it, but I'm pretty sure it's right.
I can't confirm,
Just make it up.
But in my head, it is correct.
I think it's right. The Cavs have not lost a game this season when they were leading at the start of the fourth quarter. Right? Their only 4 losses were games that they were losing most of the game.
Boston.
That Boston loss, they were losing the whole game.
Hawks twice.
No, Hawks twice, right? They were losing both those games, and then the Miami game, they never played in that game. So the Cavs have not blown a lead this entire season.
Yeah.
Not once. This team plays outside of the Miami, even in the Boston loss and the Hawks loss, I thought they played hard. The Miami game is the only game of 30 this whole season that you could say the Cavs didn't come to play.
Yeah.
1 out of 30. Most of the teams in the league, that's half their games. So if you're a Cavs fan complaining, you're a lame-o, in my opinion. It's ridiculous. Because this team, the reason I'm not bored or spoiled, when LeBron was here, you knew you were going to be in the finals, call me then. But with this team, I don't know where they're going to be. As great as they're playing, if they played a bad matchup in the first round, it's not insane to think they could lose. It's also not insane to think they could get to the finals or even win it all, depending on who they match up with and how it goes. So we've never really had that experience before, or at least not in any recent time. And as much as I've always been so not into regular season basketball, I enjoy watching them play. So the fact that they didn't destroy a team for once, but I thought it was kind of good for them. Utah was playing really well for a while in the fourth quarter. They cut it down to 3 a number of times. And unlike most of their games this year, the Cavs had to show some grit and toughness and fight at the end of the game to win it. And I don't care that it was against a subpar team. So what? In the end, they got it done. And you can't win by 25 every night.
The Cavs are 21-9 against the spread
Wow.
Yeah, that's
21-9
that's got to be the best in the league, right?
by far.
That's crazy.
What is
So
normal?
let's calm down, folks. They're winning you some money too.
Yeah, right.
What's normal against the spread?
I mean, obviously, just like any spread you make, you want it to be around that 55%
Right,
or whatever.
yeah.
Something that keeps it
Yep.
kind of close both ways. Yeah, I mean, 21-9, that is not normal.
Definitely not.
I think to your point about when LeBron was here, it wasn't like it just became a fatigue after a while.
Yes.
And that fatigue isn't. There's no reason to have that fatigue because this team is just now starting.
Right.
So if you go back to when LeBron first came here, when LeBron was here the first time, and there was still that excitement. That's the phase that this should be now, and the fact that they are playing so well. You know, they won a playoff series last year, but this just it's funny because this feels like a different team. It's the exact same team as last year, but it feels differently because they're playing differently. They're obviously having a ton more success, and it just feels like this team's coming into its own.
Yeah, man. I don't know what people was talking about around here, man. Listen, the Browns are super depressing. People need to go to therapy over that. I get a chance to watch the Cavs, and I get to see people play the right way. I get to see people develop. Sam Merrill hit like 33s last night.
Hit 6 last night.
He was a guy that we talked about in Summer League, and people said, hey, nobody makes it from Summer League, right? Now you got Sam Merrill come back. You see Max Strus come back. And you're like, well, is it going to be anything with the chemistry? No. Karis LeVert's playing some of the best basketball of his life. And Evan Mobley is just posterizing people now. I said yesterday he was a unicorn. Now he's just dunking on people left-handed, like getting to the rack.
Two nights in a row.
2 nights in a row. And here's the thing. We're going to get to this. I love how Kenny Atkinson is like, you know what? I'm going to run the lineup, so I'm going to run. Sorry, Jared Allen. You can't be on the floor right now.
Well,
Put
that's
Sam Merrill in the starting line. One other thing about what Dustin brought up with the against the spread, Cavs are the best in the league at 21-9. Not by a lot, though. Anybody want to guess who's second against the spread?
Thunder.
no Houston,
No, Thunder are fifth and the Houston sixth.
Atlanta.
No.
Nope, not even close.
No.
Grizzlies.
Atlanta's one of the worst teams against the spread. The Memphis Grizzlies. Good job out of you.
Yeah, they've been good.
20-10, and then Toronto 19-10-1 against
Lost
the
last
spread.
night.
Shout out to NBA TV.
So the other part of the game, this is the more actual game discussion.
Yeah.
But down the stretch, the Cavs opted to go with George Niang and
Yeah.
Evan Mobley in the front court as opposed to the two Twin Towers, Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, despite the fact that they were getting worked on the boards. They lost
Right.
the rebounding battle by 11. We mentioned Walker Kessler, who had 16 boards himself, 8 offensive, 8
Right.
defensive. After the game, we asked Kenny, why'd you kind of go with that route?
Yeah.
He said, we thought spacing and opening up the floor on offense was more important than trying to contain them on the offensive rebounding glass. So we went with George, who still gives us some semblance of size, but more spacing than Jared Allen does.
And
Jason-
it forced them essentially to be set up in those pick and rolls where Darius or Kessler was on Darius.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that was, a tricky matchup. for
They
them.
chose offensive and opportunities on
Right.
the offensive end over the defensive end. Jason, we saw last year with JB Bickerstaff, they were pretty rigid in their closing lineups. Not a ton of flexibility. Kenny's been the opposite. He's been mad scientist throwing any lineups out there. Are you surprised at all with the decision to go with Niang over Jared Allen in that situation? The results obviously speak for themselves, but are you surprised with the process of how they got there?
No, I love it. Because how many times we say last year, use the regular season to experiment, to learn to play left-handed a little bit. And that was one of the frustrating things was it didn't feel like they were throwing lineups out in the postseason that was their first time on the floor together. And that should never happen.
Right.
Unless it's some crazy injury thing where a guy misses most of the year. You should never be in a position where you have 5 guys on the floor together that never played together during the regular season. And I know, I can't remember the names, but I vividly remember that happening last year and thinking like, this can't happen. So I'd love, if you lose last night, so what? Who cares? Like, give yourself the opportunity. Let's see what this looks like. And it's great. Like, that's how deep this roster is, that you have the versatility and the flexibility to go shooting and to put someone like Jared on the bench. And then there's going to be games where you need a stop or you need a defensive stand, and you're going to go. You might play possession with Mobley, Jared Allen, and Isaac on the floor all together, and it may restrict your shooting, but you're going to get the defensive push that you need. So I think it's great, and I love to see him experiment. Throw as many goofy lineups out there as you want. Put 4 guards out there with Mobley if you want, and just see what it looks like. Now's the time to do it.
Totally agree. And because the Cavs are off this 26-4 record, they have given themselves room for error. Like you can experiment in games where you might lose a game,
Right.
And you can afford to do that because of the position you're in. And I love that. In-game adjustments and coaching is where you win games in the playoffs, right? That's when ultimately the final 45 seconds of the game, couple 3-4 possessions, that's when coaching matters. And this coach seems like he's getting them to a point. I love the idea of experimenting with a roster that you would say, like, if they just did that randomly in the playoffs without ever doing it, we would be going nuts, especially if it didn't work in the case, right? So I love it.
Listen, this is a great one. Hey, man, Kenny Atkinson is out here acting like Yu-Gi-Oh.
Excuse me?
Dragon Ball Z,
Oh, okay.
Yu-Gi-Oh. He says, listen, you think you're out rebounding me? Here's what we're going to do.
Aaron's yelling at me that it's not Dragon Ball Z. What
It's
is it?
Yu-Gi-Oh. You think you're out rebounding me? What you didn't know is I sacrificed rebounding for 3-point assists. I played a trap card face down. For every rebound you get, I get a 3-point bonus to every one of my 3-point shooters, outmaxing you. Yu-Gi-Oh is great. You got to check it. If you know, you know.
I guess so. You lost me.
Somebody.
I got the reference. That was good.
Yeah, right.
That was fire, wasn't it?
Hey, I dropped a real quick, sort of sidetracked. Me and Jason recorded an Ultimate Cavs show at
Mikey's
XMR.
trying to be like G.
I mentioned Super Smash Brothers, and Jason said he never played Super Smash Bros.
Who's playing? I don't even know what that is.
Tatum loves that game.
I said, like, Mike and I are in different generations.
Yeah.
When he was playing Super Smash Brothers, I was probably a dad. So, like,
You don't know.
our primes do not align.
Yeah, they
So
do
if
not.
I said something about wave dashing, you would not.
No idea.
I have no idea what you're
Wave
talking about.
dashing?
No clue. Well, let me say this.
Is that a black thing?
What Kenny Atkinson
Wave?
What Kenny Atkinson has done, guys, I believe, is really going to pay dividends in the postseason. Not only by experimenting, he has built a roster full of confident players like we've never seen with this group. Right? This group, and maybe it'll change. Maybe in the playoffs it'll all revert. It'll be a disaster. I don't know, but I never felt like they were a confident team in the playoffs the last 2 years. Did you? Did you guys ever look at them as a confident?
No. Hell no.
Outside of Mitchell, maybe.
I didn't think the coach was confident,
No.
nor the players.
I mean, Donovan scored 50 points.
Outside, that's what I'm saying. Outside of the
lost.
offense.
outside that
and they-
dude, no one
Yeah,
else.
But I'm saying
nobody else looked confident.
Donovan scored 50 points and they lost.
Right, exactly.
In game
Exactly.
6.
But what he has done, I think, intentionally, is that because he mixes it up to end games, he mixes it up. Yesterday, he decided to start Sam Merrill for whatever reason. Somebody suggested it was because he grew up in Utah. I don't know if that.
Dean Wade was out, and he wanted Merrill.
Well, but Max Strus had been.
He's
starting.
still on a minutes restriction.
Yeah.
So
Whatever.
But it was his
The
first
point
start of the
is,
season.
he's
yes.
not afraid to use anybody in the starting lineup, and he's not afraid to use anybody in the closing lineup. And there are some coaches, and I think JB certainly is guilty of this, where even in a meaningless regular season game, if it felt like a game like last night, I think, or in the fourth quarter when the Jazz were making that run, JB would have panicked and made sure all his stars were back in the game. But Kenny's saying, no, I'm going to leave Jalen Tyson in there, and I'm going to let him play because this is part of a bigger thing. And I don't know if Jalen Tyson's going to play a minute that matters in the playoffs. He probably won't if everybody's healthy. But the point is, he's showing trust, like, we're losing the lead, but I'm not going to bench you. Go out and keep the lead. And I think that's important to all the players.
How many times have I said over the years, Darius, you're going to figure it out tonight. This is back before when he was struggling. Like, I'm not bailing you out. It's Donovan. I am not bailing you out. Figure it out. You and Evan figure out how to win this game tonight.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. And that only helps you in April, May, and June. And if they don't figure it out, there's a lesson in that too.
Yeah, I think it's great. And the fact that he's not stuck. We talk about system all the time with football or whatever. He's not. He's going to, one day, it depends on the opponent, right? The Jazz kind of, in a way, obviously they're not as good, but in a way like the Hawks and the Celtics, the Jazz are also a kind of big team. And so maybe that was part of the experimentation. Hey, we've kind of struggled. The only thing we've struggled is with some of these big teams. The Jazz got a pretty big team. Let's try something against the Jazz, and maybe we'll try it against the Hawks next time. Maybe we'll try it against the Celtics next time.
I just like the idea that with this roster, you could have as many as 8-9 guys that are confident to be in the game when the game's on the line.
Yeah.
No matter who it is.
It's more than that. It's like 11
and
or 12.
Jason,
It's
you know this
crazy.
because you know the league so well. Like, that's rare.
Oh.
To have that many guys that are that confident to go into a game where the game is on the line.
Right.
I think it's just tremendous.
This may be the dumbest. Well, I've said a lot of dumb things, but this ranks up there. They have too many good players right now. Like, honestly. They do. They have too many good. Like Mike and I on the show today, we were talking about Max Strus, and I was like, they don't need him right now.
No,
like
really
everything that he does, they have some.
They will.
Yeah, like
something to happen
like,
at some point.
And we came back around, and Max has the type of postseason experience that he's been in the finals, and him and Tristan are, I think, the only two on the roster who could say that. So, and you never know who's going to shrink in the moment when you get to the playoffs. But
what about utilizing? So you say we have too many good players. Okay, number one, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But the second part about it is you can then, I think, utilize guys with certain skill sets depending on who you play.
That's right.
So certain guys may play better against Boston as opposed to New York.
100%.
But
Ty Lue used to do the same thing. Ty used to say, look, hey, it's a bad series for you, and you got no minutes that series.
Right.
Then the next series, he'll come back and say, all right, well, Channing can play this series. We'll come with Tristan. Or some games, Kevin Love was not in the starting
against
lineup.
Golden State, especially.
Yeah, Channing wasn't a good matchup for Golden State either. But the thing with the Cavs is a lot of their guys are about the same size and have the same skill set. So now last night's a good, like Niang and Jared obviously are completely different players and provide much different things. But a lot of their guys are about the same size. So they do have flexibility to go big, to go small. But some of their overlap is of guys about the same skill set and the same size. So I'll be curious to see what they do.
Hey, it protects
over
them
the next
from injury.
month.
Obviously, not to the stars of the team, but
Yeah.
protects them from injury to the next level of guys.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll use a deeper bench than most coaches do in the playoffs. It'll be interesting to see.
Mike and I touched on that again this morning. In the first round, you play more guys.
Yeah.
The deeper you get, you want your best guys on the floor. The guys just aren't going to play. Like, you get to the finals.
Donovan's not playing 30 minutes in a conference finals.
That's exactly
Right, but there's not 5 Donovan Mitchells on the team.
No,
so.
but you're good. In the finals game, you're going to play 8 and trust 7. Like, the 8th guy is going to play like 5-6 minutes. And that's
but are we
because
sure? Like, why can't you do it a different way?
Because you want your best guys on the floor.
Right, but guys 5 through 9 might be all neck and neck with each other.
I still want 5, not 9.
It may happen, Bull.
Yeah,
It'd be the first time it really happened. One thing I want to mention, back to, I forget who said it, but their point of testing stuff out in the regular season. Kenny talked about how last night was the first time in like 2 weeks they've had a game in the fourth quarter that wasn't a blowout.
Right. Yeah.
And he talked about, we want to get reps going through our strategy bag, he called it, in different end-of-game situations.
Right. Yeah, that
and
was
he
good.
mentioned the Walker-Kessler foul when they hacked the Kessler with 4 minutes left. He said, yeah, we always want to see how it worked. We figured it was a great night to try it. So
they
not
should have
only
fouled him again. Remember when they got the rebound, he got the ball back?
they intentionally fouled him twice, and he went 1 of 4 on those free throws.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, well, we're up 5 in practice. We had gone over when's the right differentiation in points.
Yeah.
If we're up 6, do we do it? If we're up 5, if he's a 40% free throw shooter, and he said, screw it, let's try it last night, and it worked out. And from a coaching standpoint, not just players learning how to close, it was a good opportunity for Kenny Atkinson and that staff to mess around with some other end-of-game strategies that you can't do if you're up 35 points in the fourth quarter, like they have been for the most of the games this year.
I was surprised he finally made that last free throw because he looked totally shot on that free throw line. Like he had no confidence. The 3 that he missed were hideous shots. That was like me taking a free throw in an NBA game.
He had a really
That's
good
what it
game
looked
last
like.
night, though. He was impressive.
He's a good player. He's only
Yeah.
his, what, second or third year?
It was his third year because he was the first round pick that was part of the Gobert deal.
Yeah.
When they traded Gobert to Minnesota, that was the pick from Minnesota they used to draft Kessler.
He looks like a Euro,
Hey.
but I don't think he is.
Utah's got a ton of
no,
picks.
he's not.
Utah's got a ton of picks coming.
Yeah.
Like they're just starting now to collect on the Donovan trade, which is why that was so massive for the Cavs to be able to re-sign him. Imagine it had they lost Donovan,
Right.
And now they've lost control of their next 5 drafts on top.
Well,
of it.
plus those draft picks would have been a lot higher.
They would have been higher. The Cavs still would have had a good team this year. Obviously, better with Donovan. Obviously,
Yeah, I mean, now it could be a bottom 4 pick.
it could. Like if you're Utah, I mean, I wrote over the weekend. The Cavs won this trade.
Oh God!
Period.
It's over.
The Cavs won the
Yeah,
trade.
yeah.
The trade the move that I think was vindicated the most was, at one point in time, Colin Sexton was a first round pick, averaged 25 in his league for the Cavs. And he was like one of the faces of what they were trying to do. They draft Darius Garland and becomes the Darius Garland versus Colin Sexton thing. Who has the upside? Both of them are point guards. And they end up moving on from Colin Sexton, who, by the way, had a lot A lot of people like Colin Sexton in Cleveland. But when you look at the game last night, you can see the difference in the levels of the games. You can see the difference in the playmaking ability, the shooting ability. Now, Colin, I mean, he's not a bad player, but you can see, Darius is a better player. So it looks like they won that trade. And a lot of people look at Lauri Markkanen too. And a lot of people like Lauri Markkanen. People always say, man, if we could have kept him, but
they couldn't.
They couldn't.
He had to be part of the deal.
He had to be. I wouldn't have traded him, Donovan Mitchell, for anybody but him.
Are you going to not acquire Donovan Mitchell because of Lauri Markkanen?
And now Evan Mobley is kind of doing some of those things, not to that level, but you don't miss it as much.
Of course, you'd love to have Markkanen on this team, but
he'd be a perfect fit.
Oh, he'd be
not at the expense of Donovan Mitchell, obviously.
Right.
But if you could add one player, he'd be a perfect fit.
He had to be included in the trade, and Colin is fine. Colin is what he is, and I infuriated people for years because guys, Colin is he's a volume shooter. He's a bench scorer. He's best as a sixth man. He doesn't play. Oftentimes, he's not a winning player. He doesn't play winning basketball. He's not a guy you build your team around. But because of the situation they were in and he was the big piece from the Kyrie trade, they were framing him as something that he wasn't. We're well past those days. They figured it out. They got past that. Luckily, Donovan became available when he did. They were able to, because they didn't want to pay Colin the big money. I don't blame them. I don't think they should have. Utah did pay him the big money, so they include him in the deal. They send him to Utah. Everybody wins. Colin gets paid. Utah has a nice young guard. He's fine. He is what he is. And the Cavs got the superstar out of it.
What is the most sneaky, disrespectful quote in all of sports? Okay. In baseball, a rotation arm. In basketball, you're not a winning player. In football, you're a game manager.
Game manager.
Game manager is the worst. Winning player in basketball kind of harsh. Like, it's like he's just not a winning player. It's like,
let's bring in our next guest. She is no game manager. She's a game changer.
I thought you said she's no game changer.
I was saying
no,
game
she
manager.
is a game changer. We're going to bring in Aditi after a quick word from Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike on other apps with Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Prize Picks puts its members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your picks hit, you get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use promo code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly just by playing $5. You don't even have to win to receive the bonus. It is guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game when you want. And with that, let's welcome in Aditi Kinklebaugh to the show. How you doing, Aditi?
I'm great, but before you even say anything to me, I want to talk about this game manager thing. Is that all right?
Okay.
Do I need to?
Yeah.
Shoot.
All right. So why is it a dirty word?
I don't think it's that bad of a dirty word.
All right, so I'm going to take you back to a conversation that I had with Bill Belichick a year ago. We were talking about the Patriots were getting ready to play Miami. I asked about Tua Tagovailoa. And you know what he said to me? He said, no quarterback ever gets yards. It's about the quarterback delivering the ball to somebody, and then that somebody is the one that gets the yards. And he said the best quarterbacks ever, and he included Tom Brady in this, know who to give the ball to where. And he used a basketball analogy. He said, if you were money from the baseline, why would I feed you a 3 at the top of the key? I'm going to feed you a 3 at the baseline. And that's where you'll hit the 3 from. That's where your money. That's me being smart. So if a game manager is somebody who knows who to deliver the ball to, where to deliver the ball to, what the time and circumstance is, and what exactly you need, once again, I would take that. I take that over the guy that can occasionally throw me a fancy deep ball, but can also get picked off and doesn't know what's going on around him. I just think I really feel like it's not a dirty word, guys.
It's just a misused word.
There's a stigma around it.
But it's only because it's misused.
I mean, look at how well Brock Purdy is playing, and we want to tag him a game manager. We want to say, not how he's playing right now.
Okay.
Correct. To be fair, not this season, but in general. You know, he had this tag. He was dogged. Oh, he's just a game manager. Oh, he's just a game manager. Well, he was putting his team in the Super Bowl.
Maybe we could say, like, he's an average game manager.
I mean, right. I think the difference is there's levels, right? Like
For sure.
There's the Allen, Burrow, Lamar, and Patrick Mahomes. It almost doesn't matter. Like they are they make everybody better on some level,
Correct.
right? And then
Correct.
there's the tier 2 quarterbacks, and then I think most people think of the game managers as the tier 3 quarterbacks, which is nothing wrong with that. Those
We got to
guys
change the terms. That's
But
what
we
we
just
got to
gotta
do.
change
Yeah,
the
but
term we use.
and that's what I think is a misnomer.
Yep.
I don't. It's just, again, like the actual definition of the word of a game manager is not a bad thing. If you're managing the game properly, if you are managing the clock, if you're managing time of possession, if you're managing each possession you have, those shouldn't necessarily be bad things. I just think, as Dustin is saying, we just need another phrase for that, another term. Absolutely. But you're right. Look, I had Joe Burrow this weekend. He is playing at an otherworldly level. He really is. And he is feeling as good as he has ever felt in his entire sporting career. He openly said that. But he's also dealing with a frustration that he's never dealt with, in that for the first time in his life, he's playing so well and his team isn't necessarily following.
Well,
the success isn't necessarily following.
I blame ownership and the front office for that, but that's another story for another day. Aditi, speaking of ownership, during the broadcast this past Sunday, they went down to you at one point. I don't remember what time. I don't remember the point of the game that it was, but you mentioned that you had met with Jimmy Haslam in the broadcast, and he said that he was happy with Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry.
He said he felt great about that.
Felt great about them. I think a lot of people have taken that
great.
he's happy with everything, which obviously he's not happy with everything.
Of course not.
There is frustration because there are people that feel that Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry are getting a pass for this miserable season.
I don't think that that's the case, but you also have to look at the tenure of the Haslam's ownership, and they were often very, very quick to pull the trigger early in that tenure, and I think they've learned from that. Now, sometimes, or one time, they weren't quick enough to pull the trigger, in my personal opinion.
Agreed.
I think that they had been so burned by moving on so quickly that they let one coach stay far too long. They recognize the record of success that Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry have put up until this year. I think they recognize how well those two work together. The longer they are in the league, the more they have exposure to other teams, the more they understand how much conflict there can be between GM and head coach, and how difficult it truly is to find a pair that can argue well. That is philosophically aligned, but isn't necessarily just rubber stamping each other. Yeah. They have something special there. They recognize that. And, one thing, I don't think this is violating a trust in any way, but one thing Jimmy Haslam said to me, and we were talking sort of globally about fan bases who are frustrated with their coaches, cities, media that want to run people out before they've even had a chance. And he said, you always have to think about, are you replacing that person with someone better? If your coach is a 7, are you sure that you're getting an 8 out there? And I think they recognize that there have been a lot of really, really good things that have happened, starting number one with the cultural overhaul when Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry came in. I think there's also a recognition that this year they were hamstrung. There are a lot of things that didn't particularly go well that may not necessarily lay at the feet of Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. And so hopefully, in acknowledgement of that, there's a different way of moving forward.
Aditi, the big thing is Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett comes out and says, listen, I want them to prove to me, give me a strategic plan that shows that they're committed to being contenders or winning within the next, foreseeable future, and he does not want to rebuild. How does this front office, how does the ownership group prove to Myles Garrett, or what moves or different presentations could they give him to say, hey, you're right, I am going to stay because we are contenders? And do you think that's even possible?
You have to figure out the quarterback situation. That's it. I think, first of all, let me just say this. G, did you have a problem with Myles saying that?
No.
Did you take issue with that?
No. I celebrated it.
Yeah, I don't either. I like the idea of a player feeling invested in his team. It's just like Joe Burrow standing up and saying that the Bengals need to figure out a way to keep both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I think that players that are so highly paid, whom so much is expected of, should feel really strongly about the future of the franchise and where it's going. I didn't think it was putting the team on notice. I think it was being honest about where he is. And I think really at the end of the day, this is about the quarterback situation. What are you doing? And unfortunately, the Browns are not in a situation like the Broncos or the Falcons, where, yes, so much money is allotted to a quarterback that isn't there, but you have a young rookie quarterback who is so relatively inexpensive that the piece of the pie that goes to quarterback is not really that outlandish. Unfortunately for the Browns, the piece of the pie that goes to the quarterback is just completely outsized. And now you've got a guy that may never again play for this franchise. So I think I was talking about this with Jason this weekend. And again, this is just sort of gross speculation. This isn't anything that I've ever had a conversation with anyone over. But if the Browns have no plans to play Deshaun Watson through the end of his contract, Deshaun Watson has every right to want to be paid through the end of that contract. But if he wants to play quarterback again in the National Football League, it certainly doesn't behoove him to sit on the bench for 2 years. So he'll collect that money, but once those 2 years are up, where's he going? No team is signing him at that point because we haven't seen anything really wonderful in his time here in Cleveland. Plus, he will have sat for another 2 years. So really, at that point, his career is over. So does that motivate Deshaun Watson to want to negotiate some sort of buyout of the contract? And I don't even, again, I don't even know what the implication.
Don't you think his career, who would sign him, even at minimum money? Why would any team take him? With the baggage. I
mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe someone's willing to give him a flyer, give him a tryout in some way, give him, at least a look-see. I don't know. And you know what? I'm saying all of this, and I really should do my research before I say something like that. I don't even know if that's legally permissible to do something like that within the collective bargaining agreement. But it's just, I mean, that's the big deal. And it's nice of Miles to say that he wants to know what the plan is. The Browns have to figure out that plan themselves. If there was an easy answer, that easy answer would be apparent to all of us.
Didi, that's where I was going to go. It's December 24th. I don't think they have a plan, in part because the season's still going on. They don't know where they're picking. I don't know what they can tell Miles because I don't think they even know themselves. This is a full-blown crisis. It's a worst-case scenario, and I don't even think yet that they have assembled a plan B. How do you emerge from this? I've said before, this could be an 18-month process to find your next quarterback. So where do you go from here?
I mean, that's what you wrote, right? Isn't that what you said this weekend? And I thought that was brilliant. Yeah, that maybe that's what it is and that you have to look, not next year, but the year after. But, it's hard. I really, not that I don't pull for Jameis Winston. He's really a wonderful guy as well. But DTR is just a young man that I would love to see have some success. And obviously, things did not go well for him on Sunday. Now, he showed us some dynamic plays. That one where he escaped, I don't know, about 4 sacks on 4th down and then hit a completion gives you this window. Okay, here's the potential. Here's the athleticism. Here's the dynamism in the kid. But, I'm not a fan of the play calling. I hate the fact that there's no run game. The team itself was deflated after that opening fumble on the goal line. Then it seemed to maybe get its mojo back a little bit with that first touchdown. And then again, there was deflation with the missed extra point. It's hard to feel like he's being set up for success. But wouldn't it be so nice if you could see something over these next 2 games that made you say, okay, we could ride him a little bit next year. We could sort of hold steady and then think about making the big move at quarterback the following year.
I wouldn't hold your breath for that, Didi. I thought in the games he's played, I haven't seen, to me, there's no signs that he's an NFL starting quarterback. All he can do is dink and dunk the ball down the field. He has no vision. He's thrown 9 picks and 1 touchdown. I agree with you. Play calling.
Adam, but let's be honest. A lot of those numbers are so skewed by the circumstances that he was in. Right? He had 1 hour's notice that he was starting against the Ravens last year. He had an hour's notice that he was going to dress as the backup in the first Bengals game that he ended up going in. So I think that again, not to make a million excuses, but this is a young man. He wasn't a first-round pick. You know, like, he played a lot of football in college, but he hasn't played a lot of football on this level. He hasn't had a ton of reps. He hasn't had a lot of game experience with preparation. And, you know, it was criminal to me that it took so long to target Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy is your wide receiver number one. What was it, the third quarter before he finally got a pass thrown his way? I mean, that's ridiculous.
Well, isn't that
this
on
is
DTR?
What I mean by... No, that's the play calling. I mean, DTR, you're talking out of both sides of your mouth here. You're saying that he has no vision, and then you think he's the one that decides where the ball goes
but maybe
on every play?
The initial play might be, but he has options on the play. He's not just, if he doesn't see the guy open, he might go to somebody else, no?
I don't think that he was running through that many progressions and
right.
was ignoring Jerry Jeudy on every single play.
I mean, they were playing
come
the
on.
worst defense in the league, and he couldn't do anything. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll give him a couple more weeks here.
I mean, that's all we can do,
That's
right?
all we got.
I don't,
It's
I
a
mean...
sad state of affairs.
Yeah. But, you know, it was nice to see the defense fighting. It was nice to see the defense playing hard. There's a lot that has to be fixed. I don't think... And, yeah. Okay, let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, let's leave it at that. What game you got this week?
I've got the Titans at the Jaguars.
You seem so happy.
Wow.
That's a
You
big
know
game
what?
for the Browns.
They're
That's a game that affects the Browns' draft choice. That
Wow.
is a game that could
Yeah.
be interesting. Could be interesting. All right, Didi, we'll see you next week.
You know what? It's hard. I'll just say this really quickly, Dustin. You know, you want fans to be engaged. You want fans to tune in and watch. And the people that are watching are not a national audience. It's the two fan bases.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to tune in at this point and your teams are playing that bad, then you're hoping that the broadcasters can give you some sign of hope. That's right.
Listen,
something to be excited
You're
about.
totally
And so-
right, and you've got a great perspective on it because that's what you have to do. I mean, there was once a time where I was calling a 1-11 UMass versus 1-11 Eastern Michigan, and you know what? It was the Super Bowl for some parent out there.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. All right,
Exactly.
Didi, we'll see you next
Have
week.
an
Merry
amazing
Christmas.
holiday week,
You too,
guys.
Didi.
Happy holidays.
I'll see you next week.
Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. You know, all of it. Didi doesn't celebrate Hanukkah. No, I don't know. I just throw it.
Throw it in. It's fine.
I think she celebrates Christmas.
It's all about
I believe
inclusiveness,
so.
Adam.
You know,
Whatever. Yeah, go ahead. We got to get to the Guardians.
Yeah, let's talk some
We've
Guardians,
already
guys.
wasted enough
Hang
time.
on.
Go ahead.
All right,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go.
No,
Quick.
go ahead.
No, Jason's got to get in.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, like, all the Dorian talk, and she's right. Like, and you can take this one of two ways.
Yeah.
They really liked him. I've said it a million times. Other people have said
Yeah.
it. They thought he had the best camp of all the quarterbacks.
Do we trust
now,
them?
But that's
No.
what I was gonna,
Yeah.
is this an indictment on their ability to
Yes.
evaluate
Yes.
quarterbacks?
Yes.
That they liked him, and yet it comes into the game.
They
and
like
it's one
Kellen
touchdown,
Mond,
9
too.
interceptions.
Kill him.
So I just they really liked him, and it hasn't transferred. Has it not transferred because he's inexperienced or because he's not good?
I mean,
Probably B, but there's a small chance it's A.
DT Aura is not it.
He's not it. All right, Mike.
But first off, Kevin Stefanski's supposed to be this quarterback whisperer. Has he
Yeah.
liked a quarterback we've had?
No.
We've had 12 of them.
Case Keenum.
Nope. Because he wouldn't even
Jacoby
keep,
Brissett,
he
did
wouldn't
you
even
like
keep
Jacoby?
Case Keenum in when Baker was hurt, even after
Yeah.
Case won a game against the Bengals.
But the
Sorry, that
Browns
was
have
not
been
his
mediocre
decision.
for 5 years.
That wasn't
God,
his decision.
God forbid you
wasn't.
fire a genius and allegedly he'll get a head coaching job, which he won't. But go ahead.
Yeah, let's do a read. We're going to talk some
We'll see.
Guardians. Did you guys ever hear of Rocket Money before? Rocket Money
Oh, yeah.
has helped find subscriptions you forgot about and didn't even know you were paying for. Sometimes they find subscriptions you're paying for twice. It's happened to me before. I had a few subscriptions I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Just go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon.
Guys, yesterday I saw the one betting service, I don't remember which one now, put out the over-unders for Major League Baseball. And the American League Central was something like I've never seen before. Maybe it's possible I just don't remember, but this is very unusual. Look at the American League Central besides the White Sox, of course. The Guardians, Tigers, and Twins are all 83.5. The Royals are 82.5. White Sox, obviously, also something I don't think I've ever seen before, an over/under that low of 50.5. But what do we make of it? Basically, the top 4 teams have the same number.
Nobody knows who's going to win this division.
That's exactly. They can't sort them out. They can't separate.
They got to be so tight because at this point in the season, you're going to see where the money goes before you make those. Before the Guardians jump to 86 or something, you know what I mean? Like you're going to.
Well, the Guardians ain't going to spend any significant money at this point.
Whatever.
The Tigers might.
Some team's going to start taking some cash, and then they're going to start juicing up the wins.
Well, do we believe they should all be this close? Are they all this close? What do you think, Jason?
I don't know, Lord Baseball. What you tell me?
Well,
Yes.
I'll give you my opinion at the end, but I want everybody else to get a chance.
I don't like the Twins. I think I would put them a couple lower. But I say that every year. I don't like the Twins any year. I don't believe in them.
They'd be right there.
The Tigers really surged at the end last year. I said last year this division was going to be better than people thought, and it was. And the Royals have an aggressive owner who's trying to get a new stadium and who's spending money, so they're going to be in it. I think they're about right. I would probably drop the Twins a little bit, but otherwise I think it is hard to tell these teams apart right now. I would go Guardians, Royals, Tigers, Twins, White Sox. That's how I would do it.
Before you go, G, I want to ask Bull, why are the Royals just 1 game lower? Like why not just set them all at 83.5 at that point? It seems still going to make them 82.5 and the other three.
They don't arbitrarily pick the numbers. There's some sort of computer system or simulations they use to run the numbers there. I mean, go ahead, Dustin.
No.
The Guardians last year, to a certain extent, overachieved, especially under a first-year manager.
To a certain extent.
Would you agree with that?
Definitely overachieved.
Yeah, they overachieved as a team. As individual players, there was not a lot of overachievement,
Okay,
which is interesting.
so okay, well, you do agree with me in some fashion.
Yes, sure. I didn't expect them to win that many games. Yeah,
When we was playing the Tigers, I think the Tigers is on the rise. Tigers is going to be a problem in a couple of years. They're going to be the Royals. They got wit. They got guys. I like their young staff. I like their young players. And Minnesota is the team we always keep talking about falling off. They're like the JV version of the Steelers. The Twins.
They fell off a little last year.
But the Twins are always competitive.
They usually are.
They are always competitive.
Yeah.
So, I thought the Guardians had an opportunity this offseason to put themselves above the fray. I thought everybody else made some moves, some strides, and I thought the Guardians had an opportunity with a strategic signing with pitching or bat here. I thought they was going to be able to be like, hey, listen, that was a nice year last year, but guess what? We are the Guardians, and we about to kick it in the next gear and put us in contention with the Yankees and some of the other teams, the Orioles, other teams like that. They took a bit of a it's tough because, yes, the Guardians always do more with less. But at some point, you want them to say, look, just go for it, which we know they're not going to do that. I think that they position themselves now at a point where they're going to be in a dogfight all year. Yeah. I think this is going to be a fight to the end. I don't think they're going to run away with it. And I think, to me, the biggest problem with the Guardians is I feel like they're going to struggle to score runs.
Listen, the Guardians have won this division 5 of the last 10 years. That's 50%.
Yeah.
So it's not unreasonable to think that they could win it again.
Sure.
Because they're always right there. And the money doesn't change. They continue to do the same stuff, and they're always sort of right there. So I think the number's probably right.
Now, I think the number's good. I actually kind of like all 4 of those teams to go over the 4 top teams by a little bit. Like I think all 4 of those teams will finish between 83 and 90 with 83 to 90 wins. I think the White Sox, 50. It's hard to pick an under on a 50.5, but
that would be
they are
miserable.
Hideous.
That would be miserable.
I think I'm going to put a whale bet on the under of 50.5 just for the fun.
I mean, they're so bad. What do they have?
What did they win last year? Like 20-something games?
I mean, they
got nobody.
They got
1 player.
Nobody who could stay healthy.
Yeah, they might trade Luis Robert. They traded their best pitcher of a team that had 1 good pitcher.
Yep.
They have. You know how much I know baseball. I could barely think of any of the pitchers on their team.
Adam, what do they do? Like, this is so bad for the game to have a team that's going to draw no fans.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the players aren't going to want to go play there. The players on the team aren't going to, like, it's just really bad for
terrible.
the product. So what's the answer?
There's talk that they could move. They could leave Chicago.
They probably
really?
should.
Yeah. I don't know how
even when
serious
they're
it is,
good,
but-
they don't do well in Chicago.
Right.
Chicago is a Cubs town. It's always been a Cubs town and will always be a Cubs town.
I mean, baseball has about 5 of these teams.
Not this bad.
Nobody goes to see the Marlins.
Yeah, but I mean, Marlins aren't. What's the Marlins win total?
That's also more partly about the market than the team.
I mean, the Rays. Who goes to see the Rays?
They don't get good attendance.
Like there's multiple, like the way you can pick the White Sox. There's all these teams where it's just like people. You watch the games and it's like, there's no one there.
Yeah.
I don't know what their lease situation is. I would strongly look at Nashville.
But
if I was Chicago.
circling
Yeah, Paul,
back.
I didn't mean to derail you from that.
Yeah.
Back to your-
Circling back. I want. Part of me, I'm like, well, are the Guardians the favorites to win the division? Maybe, but then I'm like, but if I don't like them, who do I like? I mean, all the Royals and Tigers, like the Guardians, are relying on a lot of young players, and when you rely on young players, there's going to be a sense of up and down.
Sure.
One of the reasons people liked the Tigers last year, why? Spencer Torkelson, first-round pick, great player, had a great year. It looked like he was breaking out in 2023. He was awful last season. He got sent to the minors.
Yep.
He was terrible. Their lineup, if you look at the Tigers lineup, it stinks. Stinks. Now, they got hot for 6 weeks, whatever. The Guardians lineup is better than the Tigers lineup.
They didn't look like they stunk last year in the playoffs to me.
Best pitcher in baseball helps too.
Well,
That was one of the most competitive series in the entire playoffs.
first of all, it's one series. I don't remember how many runs did the Tigers score in those 4 games.
Mize pitched twice and they got hot at the right time.
Yeah,
Not Mize. Sorry, Skubal. Skubal pitched twice.
Big difference.
And they got hot at the right time.
Kerry Carpenter had a bunch of big hits. They don't have one all-star caliber hitter. Not one.
And what I'm saying to you is we're purging our hitters.
Well, we purged one hitter.
You have Ramirez. If you look at the Guardians and say this, so let me just step back outside.
Yeah.
I'm step out. I'm outside the progressive field. I'm looking on the field. I'm like, let me look at what these Guardians got.
Yeah.
I come away and say, you have Jose. Who else scares me?
Well, who scares you of the Tigers? Nobody.
But I'm just saying.
At least we got one.
What I'm saying is that was. I don't know if our goal is to win the division or win the championship.
Listen, it's close between these teams. The Tigers have a flawed team, a flawed lineup. Jason, you wanted to argue about one player being an all-star in their lineup?
You got one.
I mean, Riley Green should be.
But he's not.
But
Not
right
at
now
this
he's
point.
not. But he certainly has potential to be.
Yeah, I know that, but some guys just never live up to it. I'm not saying he won't. I think he could be.
He was decent last year.
Yeah,
He was decent.
He was, but like I said, first of all, baseball is the hardest sport to predict by a lot.
Yeah.
Because in baseball, you'll have a guy just have a bad season for no particular reason. That never happens in basketball unless there's injury. It almost never happens in football except for age and injury. In baseball, like Cody Bellinger was Rookie of the Year, then he was MVP, and now he's been kind of mediocre, just a guy since then.
Yeah.
It's so weird. So this happens when it's hard to predict, even more so with young players. Now, the biggest concern I have about the Guardians, beyond the obvious of the lineup, believe it or not, I'm going to surprise you here, is the bullpen. Because bullpens are unpredictable from year to year. Okay? Nobody in that Guardians pen outside of Class A had a big-time track record before last season. And Class A, I'm worried about the mental scars of what happened to him in the playoffs last year.
The one good thing about Class A was his last appearance was terrific. So he got beat up. He got beat up against the Yankees, but he looked like Class A his last time out. For whatever that's worth, he can take that with him into the winter.
I will say this, though. No matter how great he pitches in the regular season, fans are not going to care.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
And I hear you on the bullpen, but I do think that they have enough options and enough depth that even if Hunter Gaddis slips, I don't know who, but someone else will emerge for that spot because they are so
There's a
deep.
lot of talent there. I think they'll be fine. I'm just saying, the bullpen is like, in a way, it's like defense on football. In football, you're relying on a collection of guys.
Yeah.
And so it's sometimes one year it's great, and then the next year it slips.
Right. I think their top 3 are legit.
I agree.
And Gaddis,
Yeah, I
Kate
agree.
Smith, and Clase.
Some of the other guys.
Beyond that,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah.
you may have some. Like
Right.
we talked about Eli Morgan the other day. He doesn't throw hard, and that's a big thing in baseball today.
Yeah.
He's only throwing 91, I think, 91, 92.
The Royals have
the relievers they've given up this offseason are not their impact relievers.
The Guardians have one player that you fear in the lineup. That's fair
Yeah.
with Jose.
Yeah.
The Tigers have 0 at this point. The Royals have 3. Because they got Perez, they
Bobby
got Witt,
Witt.
and they got what's his name?
Who?
First baseman.
I got a
Pasquantino.
question. Who
Yeah.
just got hurt and is going to be out? Is that Fry?
Fry is out. Yeah.
So how long is he going to be out?
Probably half the season.
Jesus. So, okay. Okay. Let's 14 home runs for David Fry.
Yep.
Jimenez, 9 home runs. You go look at
Naylor, you traded.
Naylor,
right?
31.
Santana hit home runs.
So you're looking at almost 50 home runs
Right.
on a team
Well,
that
it's not 50 because they added some.
they added Santana. Unless you feel Santana's going to come.
He could have 20. He'll have 20.
So you're at a minus 30.
Yeah, from a team that was middle of the pack.
That was
in home
middle of the
runs.
pack in
Yeah,
home runs.
That's not good.
The biggest concern for me is the power numbers.
I would expect Manzardo to hit 20 this year.
Manzardo go up.
15 to 20.
Whoever they play second's going to hit some. They're not going to
Yeah,
hit 0.
right. But it's at best they're going to break even on home runs.
Sure.
You know. All right, let's get back to the Browns. We'll talk to Mary Kay Cab in a second here.
We're going to bring Mary Kay in. A quick reminder that FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. You can tackle all of your NFL action on FanDuel. And right now, new customers can bet $5, get $250 in bonus bets if their first $5 bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
All right, we bring in Mary Kay Cab at Cleveland.com. Mary Kay, Merry Christmas. How are you? You got the tree going
Tree,
now?
yeah, got the tree working.
You didn't fall down with the heels on the I think we were worried about that last week.
No, I stayed up on the ladder this time. You can see I
Okay.
got lights all the way up to the top, so I actually did a pretty good job this time. But Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to all
done.
of you, and it's great to be here.
How tall is that beast?
That was almost 9 feet, and then I had
gosh.
to cut the top of it off. But I have found that if I want it to be as full as I want it to, I have to go a little on the taller side and then just chop off some of the top.
You guys do real trees still?
Nice.
Is that a real
Yes.
tree? Really?
Of course, you got to get the real
I mean,
tree.
of course, dude.
What you mean, of course?
It's not like that common.
Yeah, a real tree is the way to go, Mary Kay.
I mean,
Yeah, my Christmas tree is very important to me. It has been ever since I was little.
do you have a tradition like how you go find the tree? Is this like the Griswold family Christmas?
No, it's me like rushing somewhere usually after work at 8:30 at night and trying to find some kind of tree farm that's
God,
open.
you are a
That's-
super mom. Rockstar.
Yeah,
She does it all.
See, I was picturing Mary Kay like going into the woods with an axe.
With an axe
Yeah.
and chopping it
chopping down that tree.
Got the chainsaw like
Dragging it out of the woods, throwing it on top of the car,
Yeah,
roping
right,
it down.
There you go. Just,
Well, really quickly, I have to tell you a very, very quick story about this. I'll
Yeah.
make it fast. I brought the first tree home and I hated it. It wasn't big enough and it wasn't full enough. And I told my husband, I was looking at it and I was like, I can't do this tree. I hate it. It was in the stand. It was up. It was ready to go. And I was like, I can't do this tree. And he was like, okay, well, if you don't want this tree, then you're going to go to Ace Hardware and you're going to buy the rope and you're going to put the tree back up on top of the car. And you're going to drive it back out to Parma and you're going to get the new tree. And that was what it was at night when he was a little tired and crabby. And then, and I was like, okay. And then I woke up the next morning and he had gone out and bought bungee cords to put the tree back up on top of the car. He bought me a breakfast sandwich. He hit the reset button,
man.
and he was Mr. Christmas.
very
And,
charming.
you know,
Trophy husband.
Hey man, you
That
Did
was
it all,
good-
man.
That was a good bounce back by
Hey,
him.
man, you
Yeah.
make, he making us look bad. I'd have been like, ha ha. I bought me a sandwich.
You better call one of your girlfriends.
I bought me breakfast, and I'm gonna watch you put that on it. Nah, I ain't gonna do that. Shout out to you, wife.
That was a fourth quarter comeback by him.
Shout out to
Yeah.
him, man.
Mary Kay, let's jump to your conversation with Myles Garrett, of course, who talked about the fact, obviously he wants to stay here. That's clear. He bought a minority stake in the Cavs. He wants to be here, but he don't want to lose. He doesn't want to be Joe Thomas and never go to the playoffs. I mean, he has gone to the playoffs, but he's only won one playoff game, and so he wants to see a plan. I don't know what plan the Browns can show him right now Because it's going to be hard for them to turn this around. What's your overall thoughts on what Miles had to say and what the Browns have to do now?
Well, first of all, Miles means business. He is not messing around with this. Yep. This just wasn't empty rhetoric. He really means it. He wants to see a blueprint for winning and winning now. This doesn't mean 2 years from now, 3 years from now. He wants to be able to come back in 2025 and say, we are trying to get to the Super Bowl. If you can't say that as a football team, then there's only really one other alternative, and that's that you're like tanking or whatever. There's really not a whole lot in between. You're either trying to win it all or you're not. And he wants to know that that's what the deal is. And Jason and I kicked this around on Channel 3 a little bit last night. And I think we feel a little bit differently about it. But I really do believe in my heart of hearts that if the Browns can get a few key pieces, and I know it's not just the quarterback, but if they can get a few key pieces, I think they can turn it around next year. The key, of course, is finding that quarterback. Now, you can look at the draft, you can look in a trade, you can look in free agency, but some way, somehow, you have to find a quarterback who can come in and win, and at least at least not turn the ball over 3 times a game. I mean, that's huge. If Jameis Winston had continued to throw for more than 300 yards a game and didn't throw the ball to the other team 2 and 3 times a game, they might have been something there, right? Yeah. But you have to have a quarterback that can play good, clean football for you, paired with what I think is still a pretty good defense. And I think they can get back on track next year if they can find the QB.
Yeah, we do disagree on that because I just don't think that there's that guy out there. I don't. To me, you have to find it through the draft. You can find a stopgap guy who can win you some games. I don't know who that guy is that they can go get right now who can make them legitimate actual Super Bowl contenders. You can fool fans into thinking that. You can't fool Myles Garrett into thinking that. And that's, to me, the difference. I don't know who they can get that Myles would look at and say, all right, like I don't know that Kirk Cousins sells him on, yeah, we can go to the Super Bowl. Or someone else out there. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see that guy. I think this is a long process to find the quarterback.
Well, the reason why I say what I'm saying is the fact that I think it's so much easier to find a quarterback who can get you there now than it was 10 years ago. So many dual threat quarterbacks have come up out of the college ranks and been plugged right in, and off they go. The systems are different. The schemes are different. It used to be you had to go find an Andrew Luck or a Peyton Manning or somebody amazing like that and go win Super Bowls, or even a Tom Brady. Now you can bring up a lot of these good, young, dual threat athletic quarterbacks, plug them in and go. And I think you're seeing that this year with Bo Nix in Denver, of course with Jaden Daniels in Washington, which is the most extreme example. But now, in any given year, there will be maybe 5-6 good quarterbacks that come out of the college ranks, and it didn't used to be that way. So that's one of the reasons why I think they can do it. And then I think they must have some tricks up their sleeve, too, amongst the veteran ranks. Now, not Kirk Cousins. I wouldn't go there. I just don't think that you can sell that right now. But if there were some way that they could get their hands on someone in that second tier, such as the Sam Darnolds. I mean, remember when everyone thought Sam Darnold was washed up. Jared Goff was washed up. Baker Mayfield was washed up. Now you can take these guys and put them in schemes where they can be successful. So I don't think that we're talking about 2015, 2016 quarterback situation. I think we're talking 2025, and I believe you can find one.
Mary Kay, the job status of Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, are they tied together? I mean, could you see a scenario where one is here and one is not?
I don't necessarily think they're tied together. I mean, they are in alignment for sure. And the vibe that I'm getting is that both will be back and all is going to be well in that regard. But I do think that what if Kevin Stefanski sat in exit meetings with Jimmy Haslam and the two didn't see eye to eye on something? I don't think that necessarily would mean that Jimmy would have to make a change in both departments. So, no, I don't think they are joined at the hip. I think you can do something with one or the other, neither or both.
Man, this is crazy. I'm going to say this, Mary Kay. This is nuts. But I'm slowly, as we look at these quarterback rooms, and I think the Browns got one of the worst quarterback rooms right now moving. We saw what we had in DTR, and it's nothing. I'm out on DTR. I feel like he has some maturing to do. But there's some names that I never thought I would say. I'm gonna give you 3 of them, and you just say what you just say what's come to the top of your mind. Daniel Jones, Justin Fields, Kirk Cousins. Go.
Well, I have been intrigued by the Justin Fields idea for a while here. It seems to me that this current Browns regime really favors the athletic dual threat quarterback in the ilk of a Justin Fields. So he's somebody that I would give a thumbs up to right now. Kirk Cousins, maybe not. I want to go back and watch the Kirk Cousins film from the last how many ever weeks when he kind of went into the tank and see what actually happened there and do some due diligence and sort of find out what the deal is with Kirk Cousins, because we know that Kevin Stefanski coached him to great success in Minnesota. Is there anything left in the tank? I'm not sure yet. I would still have to look into that. Same thing with Daniel Jones. I'd have to ask around, figure it out. But I mean, if Brian Daboll can't get enough out of Daniel Jones, then I don't really necessarily know who can. They're looking for an upgrade at the quarterback position. That's what we know. So if it's not going to be an upgrade over what they have had, then I don't think they're going to go down that road. So I'm going to say for right now, maybe no on the other 2. But who knows? Maybe Russ Wilson becomes available. Maybe Justin Fields does become available. Maybe you can find a way to get your hands on a Sam Darnold or a J.J. McCarthy. I have no idea who's going to be available yet, and no one really does. I mean, if you decide that you're going to maybe trade for a quarterback, someone who is absolutely not available right now could become available to you. And I think they have to have a plan. They must know something that we don't. There's got to be something up their sleeve.
Mary Kay, in terms of quarterback this week, DTR is banged up. I mean, I agree with G. I don't see anything there. But do they have a plan at quarterback yet? Is he going to play? If he doesn't, is it going to be Bailey Zappi?
It almost seems like DTR is going to play. I asked him after the game about the cap, and he basically said, I don't care whatever it takes, I'm going to get out there and play. But the Browns will have to evaluate that. If he's in harm's way, and a lot of his game, of course, is scrambling, running, spinning, if he can't do all of that, then I don't know if they will put him out there. So we will know more on Thursday. We're not out there today when they just had a walkthrough. We're not out there tomorrow on Christmas Day. The next time we see these guys will be Thursday afternoon, and then we'll have a really good idea of what's going on. But, of course, Jameis Winston is banged up too, and I don't know if he's ready to be the backup. I actually think they're done with Jameis Winston for the year. I don't think they're putting Jameis Winston in a football game again this year, or probably ever in a Browns uniform. I think that ship has sailed. Yep. So I think it'll probably be DTR and Bailey Zappi again, and I think we're heading to the point where we might see some Bailey.
Oh, yeah. Mary Kay, thanks. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we will see you next year or next week.
No, she got time. Next week? Yeah.
Next week. We'll see you later. Bye, Mary Kay. Thank you.
Take care. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Awesome. That was Mary Kay Cabot. Let's get a read in. Let's get to our next topic. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike on other apps with Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you have to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Prize Picks puts its members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your picks hit, you can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use promo code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even have to win to receive the bonus. It is guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game when you want.
So Mary Kay said in that conversation that it's easier to get a quarterback now. There's been more successful quarterbacks. And on some level, that's true. I mean, from 2005 to I think 2017, I don't think there's a single draft in there where there were more than 2 good quarterbacks in a draft. Now, since 18, it's happened 3 times if we include this season. So in 18, you obviously have Lamar and Allen, who are superstars, and then you have Darnold and Baker, who are starting quarterbacks, solid starting quarterbacks. And then obviously the 2020 draft might be the greatest quarterback draft ever, outside maybe the Marino draft certainly, but 2020 you got Burrow, you got Herbert, you got Hurts, you got Love, you got Tua. You got 5 quarterbacks that are good to great. And this year it looks like we're trending to
I'm saying 2 quarterbacks. Just putting another 2 fingers.
You say there's only 2 this year?
That are going to be top picks. Yeah.
Oh, no.
You guys are having separate conversations.
I'm talking about 2024.
Oh, sorry.
This
sorry,
year,
sorry.
like it. All the quarterbacks.
I hear
Knicks has
24,
only
I
played
think,
one
this
game.
year, but it's
I'm sorry,
25
not
draft.
Knicks. Penix has only played one game, but the other 4 have at least, to me, showed that they're at least starters.
Yeah.
How good they are, we'll see. I mean, obviously Daniels has been great. Knicks has been very good. The other 2, Drake May doesn't have much around them, and
He's looked good.
We watched the
Yeah.
Tatum knows. We watched the Bills Patriots on Sunday, and May look.
Yeah, right. And he's got no
play.
talent. around
No
him.
talent around
Nothing. They
can
got
play.
Stevenson's a nice back, but
he's
they
gonna be
played
all right.
the Bills really well.
Yeah, they played really well.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. But go ahead, Mike.
So the question I wanted to ask you guys about this
Yeah.
is now with the current draft orders.
Browns are 4th, by the way.
I was
just
going off.
discussed this, and then you said, "Well, I'm going to stick with yours," and then you flip-flop.
But everyone started yelling. But it doesn't really matter because Jacksonville plays Tennessee this week. So
Right.
the winner of that game, and Aditi's calling it,
Right.
is going to make a big difference. If you look at the top 5, and yes, Tankathon has it this way. Bull says Tankathon's wrong. Whatever, 4 or 5, it doesn't really matter because Jacksonville and Tennessee play this week. But New England doesn't need a quarterback.
Yeah.
They just drafted Drake May last year. Jacksonville, it would be shocking if they just signed Trevor Lawrence to that contract extension and they took a quarterback.
Yeah.
Tennessee does need a quarterback. But if somehow the Cleveland Browns end up with a top 4 or 5 pick and the teams ahead of them don't necessarily need quarterbacks, do you believe Jimmy Haslam in this front office could pass up on the opportunity to draft a Cam Ward or a Shedeur Sanders if one of those 2 in particular were to fall to wherever the Browns
They're
end up
not going to
drafting?
fall. That's not going to happen because bring that up again, please. Put that draft order back up. Okay, so the Giants will take a quarterback. The Patriots won't, but neither will the Jaguars. One of those 2 teams will trade
Absolutely.
because somebody's going to trade up. Now, maybe it's the Browns. I don't know.
You really want to start bundling ones again?
I was going to say I doubt it's the Browns, but somebody's trading up.
I'm just asking the question. If one of those 2 were on the board when the Browns are picking,
Yeah.
could Jimmy Haslam in the front office pass up on the opportunity to not select their potential franchise quarterback?
No, they
of the
would.
future?
I think it's an unrealistic question, but in theory, if he dropped to 5, yes, they would take a
Well,
quarterback. probably.
I disagree with you. I think that they could drop to 5.
You don't think somebody would trade up for one of them? Only has to be one team that loves them.
Yeah, I think it's certainly possible somebody could trade up.
Yeah.
Everybody you talk to says that there's like 2 quarterbacks that are good in this draft.
So right.
And even then, are we really sure? Like I've watched a ton of Shedeur Sanders. I think he's a hell of a college player. I don't know how he translates to the NFL. I don't know. And there's also the baggage of Dion. Like, does he want to be in the situation where he gets selected? So there's other factors that go into that pick. Could the Browns pass on a quarterback? They could. Yeah, absolutely they could. If they decide that they would like to do what I suggest they should do, which is go back to the drawing board, build the offensive and defensive lines with a pass rusher and with a tackle, and then go quarterback mid-round, and then the next year you go back for the quarterback. That's my thought. But I don't think it's unreasonable to think that they could be at 5. There could be a quarterback that's one of those top 2 guys there, and they pass. I don't think it's crazy.
Okay.
By the way, just for context, McShay, you can pick any draft analyst you want. Yep. McShay has Ward as his 11th overall prospect and Sanders as his 13th overall prospect.
Yeah, there's a chance that I think that one of them will go in the top 5. There's a chance that neither goes in the top 5.
I'll be stunned if they don't go. That's just the way it
I'll
goes
be
almost
stunned.
every year with these
I'll be
quarterbacks.
stunned.
When teams are building out their drafts and you're looking ahead, they're already looking to 2026. Now, do you know exactly who that quarterback is? No. But you can look at the list and say, okay, well, there's 2 guys consider this year. There's probably 4, 5, or 6 next year that we're looking at that we think right now we like, and we need another year's worth of data to collect on them and whatever else. So how many times we said, first of all, you have to trust the evaluators that you have in place. Now, if you're going to keep Andrew Berry and you're going to keep this front office, then you have to trust their opinion on things. And I just got done saying they really like DTR. They thought he had a good camp. It has not translated to the field. But if you're going to trust them to be the GM and you have to trust their evaluation skills, if they pound on the table and say Cam Ward is the guy, we have to go get Cam Ward, then you have to trust that. And if they say, you know what, we don't really love either of these quarterbacks, the worst thing you could do is take a quarterback just because you need a quarterback, because now you've just screwed up 2026. Other than the Cardinals, who went quarterback in back-to-back years because Josh Rosen was such a disaster that they went Kyler Murray, how often do you see a team draft a quarterback in back-to-back years in the top 5? Like, it never happens. So if you commit to one of these guys now, you've almost eliminated what could be and should be a much better quarterback class in 2026. So could they do it? Yes. Will they? No, I don't think so. I really think the quarterback that they find, the long-term quarterback, is probably in that 26 draft. And Dustin's right. Like, if you want to, maybe it is the kid from Ohio State. I was laughing at it earlier, but someone like that, a mid-round pick. If you want to burn a third-round pick on a guy, and
I don't like burning a third-round pick on a guy who's probably not your answer at quarterback.
No, but here's the thing with the third and fourth round picks.
Yeah.
Like, those guys, you say they're developmental prospects, but there are certain traits that those guys have that you're like, okay, that trait equates to a potential frontline guy.
Okay.
But there's certain traits that they don't have, or intangibles they may not have, that they could develop. I mean, a Jackson Dart from like an Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of some other quarterbacks. A Nussmeier out of LSU could be a third or fourth round pick. Big guy, played a high level of college football. Like, sometimes those guys, you get them into the pros, they become what? Really good game managers.
And they have a ton of experience. Guys who've started multiple years.
Right. Riley Leonard's going to get drafted by somebody
DTR
in the middle of the
has
draft.
experience.
I'm guessing fourth round, fifth round, whatever.
Man, I just don't like. I don't trust Barry's drafts. I just don't. I don't trust his judgment, not only just a quarterback, but a lot of positions. He didn't swung and miss on a bunch of receivers. He swung and missed on D tackles. He swung and missed on offensive tackles. He had one top 10. He had 2 first-round picks, and he put it on Jed Wills.
Well, he had 5 first-round picks, and he used them for Deshaun Watson, Jed Wills, and Greg Newsome. They were all wasted.
I'm looking at these 3 and 4s that we talking about. We got, and you had in 2022 David Bell, with 2022 Perrion Winfrey, with 2022 Cade York, with. You had Greg Newsome. I mean, that's a 26 overall pick, but Greg Newsome probably won't be on this team for a second contract.
Nope.
James Hudson, Anthony Schwartz, Tommy Togiai. Like, come on. Like, I'm looking at these picks, and I'm like, Jed Wills, Jordan Elliott, Jacob Phillips in the third, Harrison. Like, these guys is third and fourths, and they on the street somewhere. So, look, I don't trust him to pull up and say, this is a quarterback we're going to identify. And to be honest with you, like you said, Dustin, Stefanski, the quarterback whisperer, which quarterback has he whispered to great success? So why would I trust that they even get one of them third or fourth round picks and he turns them into something?
Yeah. Too often, I don't think people realize how much the owner drives quarterback conversations. If the owner walks in the room and says, we need a quarterback, find me a quarterback, you got to take a quarterback, whether you like the guy or not. Yeah. I'm not saying Jimmy would do that. But that goes on in organizations in all sports.
What I don't understand is if you're someone like, I get it when people like us who don't make crazy money are forced to do things like that, which sucks. But like, if you're somebody who's made millions of dollars already, why would you put up with that? I'd be like, I'm going to do what's best for the team. If you don't like it, fire me.
Because there's only 32 of these jobs.
But so what?
32 in the world.
Debase yourself like that.
And it might not be as black and white as we make it. The situation.
I don't know. But anyway, here to me is the best case scenario for the Browns.
Okay.
Is they end up with a top 2 pick. It feels like neither of these quarterbacks is going to be an elite quarterback.
Just to the point of what Mikey said.
Yeah.
Okay. You gave McShay's big board, right?
11 for Ward, 13 for
11.
Sanders.
Yeah.
No, but I've also seen other gurus have the top quarterbacks like Shedeur at like 15,
right,
and then 21, and then like Beck is like at 32. Like, so there's no, I haven't seen a consensus where quarterbacks on a big board, like a top 100 board, are in the top 10.
Exactly. So if these guys are not really worth top picks,
we can't say that.
We're having a hypothetical.
I'm just saying hypothetically.
I
don't know.
I'm just saying.
I don't know enough.
I'm just saying. I see Lamar Jackson go 20-something and be great.
He went 32.
32. So that's even crazier.
Okay. I'm just saying. If the Browns believe, and all I can do is go by what they're going to make the pick. I can't, no matter what I want. But I would think in a perfect scenario, if they don't believe in these quarterbacks and they think next year's draft, then you finish second, you trade down a few spots, you get a boatload of picks, and you still get an elite level player.
Hey man, take a flyer on Jalen Milroe then.
I would do it. Here's the thing that
fastest guy in the field.
Here's the thing I know about prognosticating on quarterbacks 2 years in advance. Somebody would have said the year Matt Leinart was supposed to come out, he would have been the number one pick.
I hear you, but,
and he fell off.
But even if but these guys could fall off. We don't know. Forget the quarterback lineup in 26.
But
if these guys are not worth taking second overall, then don't take them.
Here's what you got to plan for though. If you're not going to take one this year, you say I'm going to identify a quarterback in 26. That means you got to be terrible in all of 25. To even get that pick in 26.
Okay, but what's the alternative? Take a quarterback at 2 who's not worth it, and then you suck anyway.
Well, here's what I'm saying. All I'm saying is when you're speculating on the future, 365 days away from now.
Forget that part of it. Forget that. Just throw out that I even said draft a quarterback in 26.
Okay.
If they don't believe that these guys are franchise quarterbacks, then you can't draft them.
Then if they don't believe that through their evaluation, no, you can't draft them.
Right.
Now here's the scary part.
Yeah.
We are hoping. Have you seen something that would tell you that they would get, even if whoever they take, they're going to get it right?
No.
Bull, to show you the lack of consensus on where these guys. I just pulled up 3 other big boards. PFF's big board. Cam Ward 19, Shedeur Sanders 29th. ESPN, Shedeur Sanders 9, Cam Ward 15. CBS, Cam Ward 4, Shedeur Sanders 10.
Yeah, now, to me, if I made a big board as a GM and I need a quarterback, if the quarterback is in my top 10, I would take him, even if I had the first pick. If he's 29, I'm not taking him. That's a big difference.
I agree with that. If I needed a
quarterback's the only position I would.
It also should matter what sort of system your offensive coordinator runs and what your coach wants to do. Those things are kind of vital.
So Jason, that's another thing. We don't know what they want to run.
Yeah, because Mary Kay, was it Mary Kay or Didi said that they're looking towards more of an athletic quarterback?
Mary Kay.
Okay, so really? Because Kirk Cousins wasn't athletic?
No, I don't know.
Because Case Keenum wasn't athletic. Well, did all of a sudden along the way here, did Kevin Stefanski change who he likes?
Ken Dorsey likes athletic.
And is Ken Dorsey going to?
I've said 100 times.
Athletic bone in his body.
I would fire Ken Dorsey. Kevin, take back the play calling.
I agree with that.
Tommy Rees, offensive coordinator, or whoever. I've poked around that there's people in the building who feel like Rees is ready, not necessarily to call the plays, but start giving him more responsibilities. He was up for a head coaching job in college. Make him the OC. Go back to Kevin's offense. Go back to what they've had success with, what he's comfortable calling, and find a quarterback that fits that. And a quarterback that fits that is very much a Brock Purdy. He doesn't have to be this athletic guy. Just don't throw it to the other team.
Brock Purdy's been throwing it to the other team.
Yes, I know, but the past years, that's where they had success.
Like I said with Jason. Jason, I give you credit for this. I feel like they don't got a plan. I just don't.
They don't.
They don't have
because they're not
in the air.
They're still in. The fire is still burning. The fire's not out yet. They don't know where they're drafting. The season's not over. They don't know who's available.
And they're stuck.
There's no plan right now.
They're stuck with Watson on the cap. That's part of the fire still burning.
And one huge decision I think that they have to make is if they're going to call next year, we're not trying to win next year, then cut them. Cut them and eat the money.
Yes.
And get it off the
100%.
books. And if you are going to try and piece this thing together with a Kirk, whoever, then you do probably have to keep him, and you have to redo the deal again and keep kicking the money out.
I wouldn't do that.
But
if take the hit for the next 2 years.
If you are saying we are done, we have no chance of winning next year, we're going to take our lumps, just cut them. I think you have to restructure it one more time. Take an $85 million cap hit next year. You'll still have one more massive cap hit in 26 as well. But then you can be done with it, and then you can move forward. But that's a huge decision they have to make.
If I were Jimmy Haslam, I would bring back. If I'm going to bring back Stefanski and Berry, let's assume that they're going to both come back.
Okay.
I'm not letting them draft a quarterback this year. I'm going to make them earn their jobs. I'm going to say this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
You're going to coach this team up. We're going to see how these guys respond next year.
Yeah.
And then if we feel like we're going to keep you for another year, we'll start talking quarterback.
Right.
I'm not going to go all in on a quarterback.
That's a great point.
First round pick with a
great
coaching
point.
staff that might be gone.
Yeah,
that just continues to cut the.
Because then you're right. Because then If they have a bad start, then you fire in the coaching staff, and now the new coach is like, well, I didn't want this quarterback. I wanted this other quarterback.
And then you got a first-round quarterback who's going to have 7 offensive coordinators again.
Yeah.
More and more signs to me point to 2026 as being the year that they find a quarterback or try to find that quarterback.
And that's okay.
It is okay with the situation they're in.
And
There's no way to turn it around.
And
The Browns are winning nothing next year.
No.
If you're Myles Garrett, he's going to say, and I think what Myles Garrett means is, you could come with another quarterback, sell me on somebody else, but I done seen what's in the room. I've seen what's here. I don't want to see none of that no more. Don't give me DTR, Watson, Winston. Give me another quarterback and have him come in and be a veteran or do something. But under no circumstances am I going to sit here with these 3 quarterbacks.
No, and Myles Garrett may have to go.
Yeah.
He may have to go because, I mean, and honestly, it's sad to say, but if that is generally the attitude of your best player, that you're just not happy to be a part of what they're trying to do. You're not in line with what.
Which I can't blame him.
Then you got to get him off the bus.
Yeah, agreed. I don't blame him for not being in line with wanting.
Totally
to win.
agree. And I'm not saying I want him off the bus.
Move for the Browns,
but it might be the best move and
There's
a move
no
that you have to
short-term
make.
fix. I don't buy. Listen. I think we've gone a little over the top on how bad the talent is. I don't think it's as bad as it's been. But we way overrated the talent last year. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
If it was between, I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
If it was between Myles Garrett and Stefanski or Barry, they got to go.
But I don't think it's one or the other.
It's not one of the. I agree with you. You always keep the star player over the coach.
But I don't think one has to do with the other.
No.
But here's the thing. I don't think that they can. They're going to do this dance all off season. How do you say to people, yeah, we punting on this season, but not
what
really.
What choice do you have?
No, I'm saying that's the messaging.
Well, every team that's going to suck has to do the same.
Like it's the
right?
but he's calling them on the messaging.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like he's putting them. He's making it very uncomfortable.
I think he's getting traded this offseason. Do you, Jason?
I think it's a very real possibility. Yeah.
I think his trade value is high.
Yeah.
They could get a lot in return.
Yeah.
It sucks that they're in this position, but I think it is.
This is the collateral damage of the quarterback not working.
And I think they absolutely should do what you said and just cut Watson. It's disaster
It sucks,
for the captain next
But you know what, man?
Eat the pill and
as
and
much of
move
a
on.
pill, painful of a pill it is to swallow.
Yeah.
It's a bigger pain in the ass having the gnat on your ass,
just
essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm saying he's a gnat, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's a distraction. It's always going to be there.
Yeah.
It's like something that you just want to just get rid of. You want to move on.
That's right.
Like it's admitting a bad mistake.
We all know it already.
Anybody ever been divorced?
Yeah.
But listen, you sign the papers. Sometimes it's just better to sign the papers and say,
Yeah.
you know what, it's not worth the fight.
I've talked to enough people, enough players on that team. I don't know how you bring him back into the building. Even if he's not starting, even if he's not playing.
Yeah.
His presence of being in there, this isn't me saying this. This is I've talked to players who said like it was like a cloud was lifted when he left. Like they don't want him back, and it's just if you're not going to win next year anyway, why draw this out?
That's right.
Take the hit.
Do it.
Cut him. It's going to hurt for 2 years, and then you're done.
And the only, the only hope to turn it around next year is if they take a quarterback wherever. And they happen to hit on some guy that happens to be great.
Right.
That's the only hope.
Right.
And based on what we know about this quarterback class, that is unlikely to happen. There's no other option. The best quarterback in free agency is Sam Darnold. The Browns can't pay him.
No.
He's getting $25 million a year at least off this season.
And
if
why,
he has a playoff run, he's going to get even more.
Why would you commit big money to a guy who's had one good year?
Exactly.
Like, that's insane.
It doesn't make sense, and they're not going to be able to afford him anyway because somebody will. Somebody will. Now, maybe it's just Minnesota with the franchise tag, which probably makes a lot of sense. There's no other quarterbacks that's turning you around.
Let me ask y'all this question.
They have 13 wins.
If you're gonna be bad, if you're gonna be bad next year too, obviously because you're saying next year's a class.
Yeah.
How does Stefanski and Barry last?
They may not.
They may not.
They may not.
Like how could
because again,
they could.
I said this yesterday, but Jimmy's focus is this dome. It's not 2025. He's worried about the dome. He didn't care about the coach right now. If you got to fire the coach next year, so be it. He wants this thing rolling by 2027 so they can start selling this dome. That is his sole focus
now. And they could save their jobs next year, even if they are not that good. If they draft, from Barry's perspective, he nails some draft picks, including the high picks.
Get people on board.
And Kevin, coaches, we go into the season picking the team to win 4 games.
They win 8.
If they win 6 or 7, yeah.
Right.
He can save his job.
Competitive.
And if you trade Miles, you have draft capital now. You can move up the board because I've mentioned Arch Manning a couple times. There's guys other than him. It's not just him. There could be 4 or 5 guys worthy of first-round picks next year. And if you like one of them, if you're 12, you can get to 6 to get one of them or whatever.
It's Minnesota went from 11-4 to get McCarthy last year.
There you go.
Guys, it's such a great point, Jason. I mean, the idea of trading Myles Garrett, it sucks. But the idea of having first-round picks that you have in your possession that you don't have to earn by losing, it makes things so much easier as a franchise and organization for next year.
That's right.
To actually go out and try to win. And to try to build something knowing that you're going to eventually get that quarterback, develop that quarterback.
Yeah, and if they don't and they finish with 2, 3, 4 wins, then everybody's gone. No doubt. Next year.
Look, man, I get it. I understand it. You know, it's a sound way to think about certain things. But just for the soul of what football stands for, it just goes to show you how bankrupt the Browns are. Like, the Ravens don't trade Ray Lewis. The Ravens don't trade Ed Reed. TJ Watt is going to be there forever. And you are an organization that can't even keep your best player. It's a lottery ticket to get a Hall of Famer. That's the top 5 generational player at his position. And it says a lot about the ineptitude of everybody in that building that you can't even get picks correct, that you have to trade a generational player just to be competitive to get picks that you're going to screw up.
That's completely
that you're going to screw up. And it's like, you want people to show up to your domes and do all this other type stuff. Can you imagine if they had to trade Jim Brown? It's the equivalent.
No, that's right.
It's the equivalent.
It sounds like a Guardians trade in the way where they're giving up a known commodity for the future. And you hate, even though there's nuance in baseball.
Although the Guardians trades often work out.
Well, I'm just saying,
in the long term.
G is always the giveaway nailer for
I know it's hard. It's hard. And the Browns just did it.
They just did this.
They just did it a few years ago.
So that's why it's so hard for me to sit here. We all sat here and watched 1-31. Every single week, you knew you turned on the Browns game. They had no shot of winning.
Nobody wants to do this.
But they're running. But when Jimmy Haslam says, "I'm cool," like I feel like I'm satisfied. Look, we just did 1-31.
Yeah.
Everything about him says we cool with that. Like you said, it's the dome. You're trading. Think about this. It's one of the top 5 players in the league, and you're trading him because you can't get anything else right.
Yeah. By the way, it's worse than 1-31. There was a stretch from the end of 2015 through the first week, the second week.
There's a few more losses, right? Is it 1-33 or something?
I think they went 4-46-1 during that stretch.
See, and
I don't even want to look it up, dude.
The NFL, you don't have to do that. Like they just blew up the entire franchise.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here advocating, okay, now next trade Denzel Ward. Okay, now next trade. I don't know if they have any good players after that.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying like rip out everybody and blow the whole thing up. It really is just it's a 1-year reset. And it sucks that 1-year reset sort of costs you, G's right, a generational player.
Yeah.
But he's given them 8 years, and they've done very little with it.
That's right. The Browns those teams don't trade those guys because they're never bad.
Right.
Certainly never this kind of
Right.
bad. If they're bad, it's an 8-9 season.
Yeah.
It's a 9-8 season.
It's like filing for bankruptcy twice.
Yep.
It's a reason the government don't let you do that.
Yep.
Like you messed up. We wiped the slates clean. You tore it down.
And you did it again.
And then you came back and you bought 17 boats in the house.
You know what they had, G? They all had quarterbacks. Flacco, Roethlisberger. Steelers had 1 year with Pickett, a couple years with Pickett where they're still winning. and then they get Russ. So if you don't have a quarterback, it don't matter who your left tackle is. It don't matter who your D end is. The rest of you can have Hall of Famers.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter until you get the quarterback right.
I told you yesterday.
You could win for one season that way. You can't consistently win without a quarterback. You could have one good season without good quarterback.
The Browns won 10 games with Derek Anderson.
Right.
It happens.
But he was good that year.
He was really good.
He played like was he a
Pro Bowler? He was.
Yeah. But you can't win with bad quarterback. Like the Browns won last year with bad quarterback play. You can't do that back-to-back seasons.
I told G yesterday, we did a Brown stream in the afternoon. Myles Garrett, if you look at the advanced analytics, the numbers, he's on pace to lead the NFL in pressures again, on pace to lead the NFL in pass rush win rate. He's on pace to lead the NFL in double teams faced. He is, on paper, been arguably the best defensive player in football again.
Mike, I don't know if we have time for the other topic because it's not, we
have no super chats right now. We have 20 minutes to
Okay,
dive into
all right.
it. So,
fine. Let's
but my point is, and I'll close with this.
He wants your job too, man.
You can have the very best defensive player in the world, and if you have no quarterback, what does it get you?
But let me listen. Earl just said this in the comment section, and I think it's worth saying.
Yeah.
Why is it that everybody? You listen. We know Deshaun Watson played horrible. Some of the worst quarterback play in the game. Why is it that he played horrible? We are ready to move on from him, right? Correct. Everybody.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So why is it that a coach and a GM can have that same horrible year, but they all get to stay?
Well, I'm in favor of firing them, so I don't know. However, my argument would be that those guys, or at least Kevin Stefanski, did a good job last year. Is that fair?
Well,
whereas Deshaun Watson's been horrible his entire Browns tenure, Kevin Stefanski has not been horrible his entire Browns tenure.
If you look at some people, some would argue and say, well, Deshaun Watson hasn't been terrible his whole career, right?
But I can only talk about the Browns. The whole career doesn't matter.
My thing is,
Deshaun Watson hasn't been good in 4 years.
No, the question is, how is it
that's the difference?
No, hold on. How is it we make these decisions very quickly? Jameis Winston, terrible through these picks, get him out of here. I don't want to see him in New Jersey. DTR? Listen, he's not here. He's not in the front quarter.
Give it up on DTR.
Hey, I did too.
Yeah.
But my question is this: it's a valid question from the other side. How is it that Andrew Berry, with his track record, and Kevin Stefanski are guaranteed that they're staying when they've had that?
Saying they're guaranteed.
There's no guarantees here.
Well, the owner said that. The owner said they're going to be back.
Dude, the owner
It's
says
the middle
that
of the
every
season.
year.
I don't know.
It's
But
the middle
it's
of the
not.
season.
It's still not apples to apples because Kevin Stefanski has had a level of success in Cleveland.
Under 500?
Deshaun Watson has not.
He's under 500.
I'm aware of that, but if you look at it, did he do a good job last year?
You always talk about 2 years in a row, bull.
I hear you, and I'm not against.
G's saying, both saying fire him.
I'm not against firing him.
I'm just throwing a rhetorical question out there.
You asked me for what's the difference. I'm giving you a difference. That is a difference.
Yes, what I'm saying is that is a valid question that people bring up.
I'm giving you a valid answer. Kevin Stefanski had, in the last 3 years, Kevin Stefanski had an okay year. No, worse than that. A not good year, excellent year, and a terrible year. Deshaun Watson's had a terrible year, and a terrible year. That's the difference.
I would say the reason, and if I was answer that same rhetorical question, I would say that nobody wants a full teardown. A full teardown, people would rather take one part out and tweak something else than say start over with a new quarterback.
What would a full teardown be?
Firing everybody.
1-31.
And getting rid of all the quarterbacks.
G, let me ask you one question. We'll move on. We got this comment on Twitter during this segment. I want to ask you this. David Hiltner tweeted at us and said he's mad that we said the Browns can't win anything next year. He said, "Are you guys kidding me? They have a very young team, a strong offensive line, and a great defense.
They don't have a young team.
Okay, well,
Why
he's part
can't
of
they
that
win
fringe
next year?"
The Browns' best players are all
I didn't say this.
pretty much 28 and older.
Don't look at me.
Who is a very good player on the Browns under 28? Not many.
At a prominent position.
JOK, but we don't know about his health status.
Judy, Denzel.
Judy. Is Denzel? How old is Denzel now?
I think he's right around 27, I think. He
I
was the 18 draft, right?
Yeah,
Denzel's 27. He'll be 28 next year for the season.
Okay.
Here, look.
How many first-year contract guys do they have that are really good? None.
Let me
They have
say
any?
this.
First year.
Really good?
I'm sorry, first contract guys, not first-year contract.
It is
I know what you
not
meant.
conceivable that they could be a good team next year if they had a quarterback. It's
Of
not
course,
inconceivable.
they could be decent.
Yeah, if they were in the NFC South,
Look,
Yeah.
they're not competing in this division next year. You're nuts.
I just saw
Not you, but people.
Russell Wilson turn it around a little bit if they got a quarterback.
I'm with you. If they had a quarterback, they could compete next year. Where are you getting that quarterback?
But what we're saying is the dilemma is ain't no clear path to no quarterback, a young one or a bridge.
That's what I'm saying.
The Steelers are much better coached than the Browns and have a much better organization than the Browns.
So it's an uphill battle.
And ultimately,
keep going.
And ultimately, they ain't going to do. I could be proven wrong, and I will eat my words if it's not. They will do nothing in the playoffs because the quarterback play is not going to be good enough.
Yeah, they probably won the championship. You know,
probably win a championship.
I'd say they probably
won't. Yeah.
No, I mean, listen, it's hard to win a Super Bowl. We know that.
Yeah.
You saw it with your team a few years back. You know, like it's really tough once you get in there. Russell Wilson's done it. He's been there. Do I think they're going to win a Super Bowl? No. Do I think that they could win some games in the playoffs? Why can't they?
They're the Guardians.
Think about it. Think about this perspective, right? The Bengals have the worst defense in football, probably, or one of them, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Right now, they're not in the playoffs. The 3 teams ahead of them for that 7th spot are Denver,
Indianapolis.
What's that?
Is that Indy?
Right. Denver, Indy, and Miami are all ahead of Cincinnati. Who do you think is the last team that Buffalo wants to play in the first round of those 4?
Cincinnati.
It's not even close.
Okay. Why?
Joe Burrow.
Quarterback.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's all about the quarterback.
guys.
I don't know that the Bengals. I would pick the Bills to win that game.
I'm not delusional.
But still,
Bills probably would, but there's probably a little PTSD, right, Tatum? Yeah, from a couple years ago.
At least
remember
in that game? Josh Allen.
Snow?
If Josh Allen's playing the Broncos or the Colts or the
Dolphins.
The Dolphins, yeah, Tua's a decent quarterback, and Bo Nix showed promise as a rookie. He ain't worried about having to keep on those guys.
I watch the Bills every week, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about Tua Tagovailoa.
No.
I'm not. Joe Burrow, I'd be scared.
Exactly.
As a Browns fan,
even though the Bills are a better team.
As a Browns fan, McNuggets, I'm gonna be honest with you. We'll move on.
Yeah.
If you told me the Browns had got 8 wins with a bridge quarterback and they somehow got a quarterback in this draft that is promising, that looks like they could develop, I'd take that.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not sitting here saying 12, 15 win Super Bowl. I'm not delusional. You give me 8 wins and some nice games and some competent football, I'd say, okay, clap it up. I
don't think any of us saying that's impossible that they can be a competent football team.
Well, that's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, I think
after this.
But I think that's the best case scenario for next year.
Right.
Best case scenario is on December 24th to be in the hunt.
That's it.
Best
We
case.
just want to be on the graphic.
You want to be one of them 3 teams on the graphic.
It don't even got to be the first or second in the hunt. It could be
Just
the
gotta
one.
be in
Doesn't
the
matter.
hunt.
Even
Not mathematically.
Yeah.
Even if you need 13 things to happen.
Yeah, 13,
I want to be on that list.
right.
Sign me up.
All right, let's get to our last topic. It's brought to us today by Rocket Money. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot that you were paying for twice? It's definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions I didn't even know I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, spending habits, or even goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users that have saved over $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Mortgage. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. All right, Bull, this was a topic you were hot about last week. G put a tweet up about NIL and the transfer portal potentially ruining college football. You sent me a clip this morning that we're going to play, and then we will dive into it with Dustin, our college football announcer on the show. So here's the clip you sent me this morning. Do you want to set up the Kirk Herbstreit clip, or should I just play it?
Just play it. Go ahead.
All right, this is from Kirk Herbstreit.
When I played, players had 0 rights for the majority of college football. You just do what you're told, and, it's like you're in the Marines. Yes, sir, you may have another kind of thing. And then we got to 2020 and COVID and everything kind of changed, then a realignment. And then we've kind of gotten into this world now where players are able to leave whenever they want to leave. We have NIL, obviously, that is a huge part of this. But if you even follow the NFL model, the players have restrictions. Like, you can't be on the Bears and just say, oh, the hell with this season. I'm going to the Lions. Like you have a contract. You have to follow the contract. The NFL has very stringent rules. This is what we do as a teams. This is what you're allowed to do. This is what the players can do. So this whole idea of the players in college just doing whatever the hell they want to do isn't the right thing. Like it's not like like my kids, I had 4 sons. If my kids at 12 years old said, "Dad, I'm taking the car, see ya, I'm going to a party," at 12, I'd be like, "What are you talking about? You can't do that." The world we live in today in college football, it's kind of like, screw you, I'm taking the keys. And the coach is kind of like, well, okay, he's going to take the keys. What am I supposed to do? I mean, you have zero power.
So obviously, Kirk Herbstreit. Go ahead. You want to?
No.
Yeah.
You can
He's
say that.
been on a pretty bad roll lately.
Yeah.
He's getting it from all sides, and I don't think he could be more lost in it. First of all, to compare young adults, and I get it, some of them are going to be immature. To compare young adults to your 12-year-old children is very disrespectful, in my opinion. NIL and transfer portal are always conflated and put together, and they shouldn't be.
Yeah. So I think a little hyperbole in his 12-year-old comparison. I don't think he really meant that. But I do agree. There's a lot of things I don't agree with Kirk on.
Yeah.
This I tend to agree with a lot of what he had to say in terms of how this has changed the game, how coaches have to deal with players with kid gloves, how you're always worried about what a kid's going to do. There are no restrictions. It is the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
And it eventually will, at some point, I'm sure, have some guardrails put in, but it ain't happening overnight.
Here's what I would say. Before this happened, was Kirk Herbstreit worried about the fact that the players were in a position that they could have their scholarship taken away at any time?
Nope.
That if they had a bagel and cream cheese paid for them, they might be in violation of the rules? Nope. Was he worried that coaches who had contracts could basically leave their college whenever the hell they wanted? They could lie to their players and say, hey, I'm going to be back, and then 2 weeks later go. He wasn't worried about any of that stuff. I continue to ask for the people that think there should be all these strict rules.
I don't think
And first of all, college football is totally to blame because they ignored this forever, and now it's been forced on them, and they're like, this is not good. Well, you should have dealt with it 20 years ago. And so I'm sick of the hypocrisy from the college football people who are like, we used to be in, I mean, what does he want? To go back to being an indentured servant? The players had to worry about the coaches all the time. He's worried about the coaches have to worry about the players. The players used to have to worry about the coaches. I get on the coach's bad side, I could be out of here and working at McDonald's next week.
But how often did that actually happen?
All the time. All the time.
Is it really all the time? You should not be able to lose your scholarship because you didn't play well. If you get the scholarship,
but
you should be assured of the scholarship.
But I'm saying it's revisionist history, and Bull, you're right. For them to go back and have a problem with this when coaches have been leaving schools to do whatever the heck they wanted to do since the beginning of time. You had coaches being like, yeah, I'm going to recruit you. Guess what? 2 days later, if they offer me more money over here, we're out of here.
You got screwed by a coach.
Listen, I recruited. I went there. They're like, yeah, we're going to redshirt you. I'm like, cool. He's like, I'm going to Wake Forest. And guess what? At the end of the day, you stay or you can go. My thought process is this. There's a lot of hypocrisy in it, but they don't say nothing. People got a problem when it's capitalism for everybody. It's good. If you telling me a young man, could go to the armed service and die for his country, he has the right to capitalize off his God-given ability in any way, shape, or form. We love the free market. The free market dictates how much you make. Stephen A. Smith could get $35 million. Skip Bayless could get $100 million. That's the free market. I don't hate on it because guess what? That means I got access to it. Instead of these coaches cultivating and having to be straight up and literally have to do their job, you just can't recruit 85 kids and stockpile them. Kids are going to go other places. Coach for a living. Hey, that's what it's called, coaching.
Yeah. I have no problem. Like I've said all the time, I'm as capitalist as they come. Make every dollar you can. But you shouldn't be able to transfer every single year. You should get one. You get one if you screw up.
Well, why?
Why?
People can change
Could you
jobs
change your job every year?
No, I have a contract. I have to stay for 3 years.
So then give them contracts.
Give them contracts.
Fine.
Okay.
But
there we
that's
go.
what I'm saying. It's a two-way street. You should not lose your scholarship because you had a bad year because you got hurt. But also, you shouldn't be able to just jump around from school to school to school every single year.
The only way I would agree with that is if the schools paid the guys directly and they got contracts. Then I'd be fine.
I love it.
Transferring.
I love it.
So
We just solved it.
Yeah.
I have like 19,000 points.
Go
We
ahead.
have like 8 minutes. So
Go ahead. No, we can go past one.
I'll
Mike,
try.
no?
I'll try to
Well,
be.
we'll skip OT. We go a little longer.
Try to be as brief as I can. I mean, to your point, Adam, and you're right. This correction is way overdue. I mean, like the fact that we were worried about guys getting a free cheeseburger like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
The fact that Jim Tressel was fired and
What
on the
happened
cover.
to Jim Tressel?
That's crazy.
And I don't want to go down that rabbit
Yeah,
hole.
right, sure.
We all know. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to relitigate that.
It's insane.
But things in life and throughout history, they will overcorrect, and this will at some point correct itself. It's not going to happen right now. Like this went way too far. It'll come back eventually. It shouldn't be the way it was. It shouldn't be nickel and diming these kids for a sandwich for Subway, or you went over to coach's house and his wife made cookies for you. NCAA violate? No, that's bullshit. Those days are over. Okay, we're in a time now where yes, players deserve their rights. I think that just society, technology, everything has fast tracked immensely in the last 5 years with every single thing. And so here we are. Players have a lot of power. Players have a voice. Okay, that's great. All these things are great. I think the problem is there are no guardrails to keep things. I mean, look, coaches like Nick Saban hates it. Dabo Swinney hates it. You have these coaches that have, like you said, Garrett, have been able to get the top 100 players in the country every year. Just come on in, come on in. They're like Pac-Man, just eating up players.
Nick Saban's doing plenty of commercials while he's hating on kids.
So those days are over.
Yeah.
And now it's on the coaches to figure out you have to recruit different players.
Yeah.
Because you don't want every guy to be a 5-star
You can't have
looking for
five-stars.
$1 million.
can't have
Sometimes you gotta win with the 3 stars.
That's right.
You know, and that's sort of the
Well, we've seen it in college
delicate
basketball
balance.
with guys leaving early.
Yeah.
There's been like a team like
but
Butler.
Adam,
you know.
here's the thing that has to happen.
Go ahead.
And this is what's not good for the sport. It's not. And Kirk's one of his last points was really good. And you don't want guys to have to leave a team like in the middle of the year because he's unhappy or he is like, yeah, you know what, this team's offering me, so I'm gonna skip the bowl game. I'm already at Arizona State.
That's not good. Switching in the middle of the season.
What people forget is that football is the ultimate team game. You've got 11 guys all doing their job, and when that one guy is selfish, then your team loses.
But what happened? What I would say though is that I think over time there will be a natural correction, not a forced correction.
Oh no, you're right.
Where people will stop paying as much money for the second and third and fourth tier players.
They'll get it,
and so guys will just stop transferring as often because there won't be as much money.
People eventually will learn their lesson.
Right.
Like I can tell you right now, I'm not going to name names, but I've got Power 4 coaches that have told me throughout this season.
Yeah.
Because these guys love it. They keep spreadsheets of the guys that leave their programs.
Yeah.
They keep track of how much money they made and how much playing time they got. And a lot of these guys are going to schools and making 6 figures, high 6 figures.
Yeah.
And they're number 2 on the depth chart, dude.
And Dustin, here's the thing that a lot of people don't get. You know, there is a spreadsheet of people. Just because you get in the transfer portal, there are countless people that played last year that don't play this year.
Do you know how many people in the transfer portal right now? Right,
that
like right
have
now?
no places to go.
What do you think, Bull? How many people in the transfer portal right now?
2,000.
5,000.
I was going to say 2,400.
5,000.
I was going
to say a couple
240.
hundred. I must be wrong.
5,000.
I must be
No,
low.
G's closest. It's 5,213 players in the transfer portal right now. It's a disaster. It's the Wild West.
And why is it?
And some of them
the
people,
Wild West.
and some people ain't.
Why is it a disaster?
Because 3,000 kids aren't going to get scholarships.
Because more than half those kids that go in the portal never get a scholarship, and they had one.
That's
sad.
That is the self-correction of getting in the portal. Now here's the way I've always said it. The schools screwed themselves on this. We talked to Gene Smith on here. I said, listen, you guys are Power 5 conferences. I never understood in America why college football is tied to academics to start with. It's just like I don't understand why you go to a restaurant and it's up to you to tip a waitress because she only makes $1.25.
Right.
Who said minimum wage should be $1.25 just because you get tips? I digress. If you had an opportunity, you go in, you sign contracts, you give them health care, you treat them as professionals, and you pay them based on that contract. And guess what? If you still want to tie academics to it, you say, listen, while you're here, you're going to play football because it's a job. When you leave, I'm going to give you 5 years to graduate for free for the university. Mm-hmm. So if you don't make to the league, you got 5 years that you can go and get a job and do whatever you need to do. we're going to give you this in the signing bonus, and then give them retention bonuses. If I'm a guy and I'm playing for Ohio State and I know that I can get in the portal for this much, I'm going to think twice, because I say, oh, I got a retention bonus of $100,000 to come back. Oh no, I'm comfortable, and the coach, no, I'm gonna take this money, and you got an opportunity to teach people how to stack their money and put it. We got financial services. We could put that money away for you, so when you do get in the job market, you can get a business. You can start with doing what you want to do, but instead of being punitive about the situation, why not start empowering people? Don't say it's the Wild Wild West. Get you some financial advisors and people to educate these young people about what to do with that money. Don't buy the Lambo. Go put that in a mutual fund. Go get you some stocks. Don't do all of these things. It's about empowerment instead of having it be like these are indentured service. Hey, we're in business. We got our corporate sponsors. We got people that's paying your salary because people like college football. Why not build some infrastructure so you can make it better? It doesn't have to be the Wild Wild West, but that would mean that you have to care about the kids as individuals and want the best for them, not just your record.
I want the kids to get paid, but I also want my team to be good. You know what I mean? So there's a balance. And like to your point, it will correct itself. It's going to take some time. I'm going to sit back and enjoy it. I love college football. I do it for a living. I get paid to talk about these games. We get to sit in the booth and talk about how amazing, these schools are, these venues, like just all of it. It's amazing. I love the sport. It's in a weird place right now. So is the world.
Yeah, that's right.
We're going to be okay.
That's right.
We're going to be okay.
And I think, by the way, shout out to Mount Union playing for Division III national championship.
I was on the call for the semifinal.
Oh, was he?
Yes, he was. A hell of a game over Johns Hopkins.
Maybe if he texted me back, I'd hear something.
He's the worst at that.
Yeah,
then he'll call me in 2 weeks to complain about Ken, complain about whatever. He only calls me when he wants to get his anger off his chest.
I invited him on the show. I said, hey, you want to come on?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't think that, you talk to him.
It may change.
Talk to my bosses.
That may change.
Hey, listen, I'd love to have him on the show. That'd be great. He can come in the studio.
But I think the only rule I would put in place for transfers is that you can't transfer during the season.
Yeah.
This opening of the portal now is stupid. Wait. I don't know how it hurts.
Why can't anybody with a sane brain or half a brain, see that it's not good for these players that go in they go in thinking they're going to come out the other side greener, and it's not the case. And so if you do put limitations on when, I think players will then have to take just enough of a pause to talk to maybe mom and dad, talk to brother, sister, talk to other kids who've been through the process, other kids at other schools, instead of making these decisions so fast. In life, think about it. Think about how big of a decision it is to go pick a college.
Yeah.
Okay? Some of these kids are making decisions like sight unseen. They're not even going to campus. They're like, oh, this school's offering this much money.
Yeah.
Well, they don't even know that they're going to get there, and they don't have a Chipotle for them.
Yeah,
that would be outrageous.
It's a small thing, but the point would be they don't know stuff about the school they're going to.
Well, I think again, colleges can do a really good job of NIL onboarding. When you start, you say, hey, this is what NIL is. When you start recruiting a kid, you're starting not only to educate them, but to retain the kid, because you're going to want to talk to the parents and say, listen, this is how it's going to work with the NIL. We got some people that's going to talk to you about the pitfalls of it. Do you know that there's 3,000 kids that used to have scholarships that don't have one right now? I don't think people is telling them that.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think people is educating people on that.
By the way, Dustin, as you know, I hate recruiting rankings. I've always hated that. I've always thought it was stupid. And it's such an overrated part of college football, in my opinion. But it's even worse now. I saw somebody put out a tweet this morning. Breaking: Ohio State gets this 5-star offensive lineman, and then people were reacting like, "What a huge move!" and blah blah. I'm like, what a huge move!
Yeah, wasn't it a big move when
Aaron
Nolan committed to Ohio State? Yeah. Hey, guess what?
Right.
He gone.
South
Carolina. Gamecocks, baby.
Saying gone? The quarterback saying, the backup quarterback just transferred, didn't he?
I think so. I think you're right about that, too.
Who's going to be Buckeyes quarterback next year? Another transfer, probably.
Yeah. But that's...
They got Saban last year from Alabama, who was a top quarterback, who transferred after half a semester at Alabama.
Yeah. What's interesting, and I'll set the player component of this aside for a minute. From a coaching perspective, I don't think Deion's ever done a home visit. It has changed recruiting because coaches will just recruit the portal now. And not why would you recruit a freshman who's not going to play? You know what I mean? Who's going to sit for 2 years,
Right.
you're just going to recruit the portal. And I don't know if that's we're too new into this. I don't know if that's sustainable or not, but that's the way. That's what Belichick's going to do. Belichick will recruit the portal.
I'll tell you one thing. I would, if I was a college coach, the one position that I'd have a hard time going into the portal would be quarterback, because I think those guys to have the feel, the leadership of your team, I think you have to be there. I think I'm not saying it's something that's can't be done. Like Will Howard, I'm sure is a great leader. He's been around football for a long time.
Dylan Gabriel's did it 3 times, but I marvel at that.
Right, those and that's exceptional.
Yeah, like
and
that's
it's
crazy.
Rare. Is my point.
Yeah,
it's
really
hard to
rare.
find a kid this day and age that's been at 4 universities that's going to go to that 4th university and have the same passion and ability to communicate and lead those guys who he's met for a month.
Right. I think about the off-season conditioning all the time.
Bro, I talk to these coaches and they're like, you won't believe it. The kid just got here 2 weeks before camp and he's their starting quarterback. I'm like, well, how?
What about the
none of it?
What about this
no
work?
no mat drills?
Receiver?
No mat drills.
The mat drill, that was a rite of passage. You come in the winter when you transfer, and you know what the winter looked like, Jason. That winter in the wrestling room, and it's hot.
It's hot.
Now here's the thing. I will
You
say,
you breathe in the cold air. It's like,
man, it's 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock mat drills. The worst.
It's changed MAC football. It's changed like small football, because now kids from the MAC, if you was looked over and maybe you just didn't get recruited by a big school, we used to sit there and be like, oh, we got Michigan or Ohio State on the schedule 3 years from now, and I'm going to prove you should have recruited me. Now it's different. You go right from Kent to South Carolina, Alabama, wherever you want to go, because it's easier to take a kid who's played football, who's had 2 years of college studying. He probably got an associate's degree, and he got 2 to 3 more years to play for you. Give me that kid over to freshman, because I can plug him in 2s right now. It's just different now. Prime is Prime. He changed the way it's done. I mean, he got a clean cheat code, because he got rappers and everybody.
I'm doing Ohio games, and like, this Curtis Rourke is pretty good. All of a sudden, he's in the college football playoff.
Yeah, right.
Wow,
that is
unbelievable.
Crazy. All right, we'll leave it there. Good conversation.
We got some super chats
go ahead,
today's
Mike.
show.
Super
Salvatore
chats.
the 216 says, "Does LeBron deserve a statue in Cleveland one day?"
Yes.
Of course, right now.
Third question.
One day? How about yesterday?
They're building it right now. They're getting his hairline together
Deserve
right
a
now
statue.
on the statue.
Salvatore also says, "G's Yu-Gi-Oh reference had me cracking up. If you know, you know." He says, "This is also Salvatore. Bull G Fox and Jason, the UCSS death lineup. Merry Christmas Eve from Euclid, Ohio."
Is that
That's a compliment?
Yeah, it's like it's a good thing. That's
the
like
Warriors death lineup.
Warriors line.
Yeah,
got
death
it.
lineup.
Got it.
He wants to know real quick around the horn, what was everyone's favorite Christmas gift as a kid?
Teddy Ruxpin.
Isn't Teddy Ruxpin the same thing from
No.
what do you call it? The movie with Mark Wahlberg.
No.
Ted.
Oh,
Ted.
Ted.
Wasn't he a Teddy
It
Ruxpin?
kind of.
I think it's probably a playoff of that toy.
Yeah, but if you had a Teddy Ruxpin back in the day, you had to flip them tapes over.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he had the zip.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And so my buddy, there was a my buddy.
My buddy and me.
My buddy.
Now don't
my
laugh.
buddy and me.
I had a Cabbage Patch dog when I was
I
little.
did too.
Who's gonna laugh?
You guys had Cabbage
Everyone
Patch
had
Dogs,
those,
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Cabbage
had
Patch dog.
Patch Dog.
Yeah,
Benson.
boy.
Mine was named Benson. I still remember his
Man.
name.
Benson.
Yeah.
My
That is
dad
bizarre.
had a fit. My dad told
You have
a
a black or
story.
white one?
It was a black one, but I ripped the arm off. Like
My potential serial killer.
I had two. I had a GT Pro Performer bike
oh,
and a pair of Oakley sunglasses.
was
my
them
brother got me.
is that the Power Wheel type joint?
No, GT was like free. Like I was like 15, 14. It was my last bike before I got my license.
Riding bikes is such a.
Hey man, let me tell you something.
Riding them bikes.
I still ride my bike.
Real fast. I had an uncle that played in the NFL. You know that, right? Tim Fox. We always got the big gifts from Uncle Tim. Bro, circa 1988, we opened Christmas morning. Nintendo.
Oh, yeah.
Console, dude.
Yeah.
And bro, we did not grow up like high in the hog.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And so we had a Nintendo.
When them
Nobody got the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip?
No.
If you know, you know.
That's a great call. The one year I opened like 15 Nintendo video games and thought that was the greatest thing ever.
yes. Hell yeah.
I would go through them, and I remember my first one. I had RBI baseball. Then I had Tecmo Bowl. It wasn't Tecmo Super yet. Right? Then I had the first Ninja Turtles, which, by the way, if you play that first Ninja Turtles, it's almost impossible to beat. all this type stuff. So I'm playing it, and when you open that Nintendo, and there's something about the first controller. Something about number one. You got Luigi. I got Mario.
All right, Mike, give us the next one.
3 more.
do that
G.
all day.
Bush's Bad Neck says, if it's not Ward or Sanders, I want to draft Abdul Carter to put with Myles Garrett. Draft Jackson Dart in the 3rd round. Love the show. Happy holidays, guys.
I like Jackson Dart.
I did too.
I've been talking
Steven-
myself into him.
Stephen Royer says, I'd rather lose because of the cap with cutting Watson than being mediocre with him still on the roster. Time to move on to a new era, whatever that may be. And last but not least, 2 more now, actually. Jacob Durr says, fans sending death threats to Ryan Day's family are the lunatic fringe. And Jeff's Bookshelf says, happy holidays,
not the
guys.
people who just think he should be fired, which is a big difference. And Herb Street called 20% of fans lunatic fringe. I
Yeah.
can't imagine there's even close to 1% of fans that would do something like that.
Nope. That's it. Happy holidays. 2 hours of UCSS content on the
Yeah.
channel tomorrow. We're back Thursday.
Yeah, by the way, I'm off until after the New Year, so Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. No podcast for me, no show for me. Guys, have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Happy
I'll see you all
holidays.
I'll
next
see you on
year.
2 weeks.
We'll see you later. Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
Peace.